Chapter 106. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. Wang Yu was someone who didn't even know how to play computer games. Naturally, he wouldn't exploit any system bugs. On the screen, the moment the dragon used its skill, Wang Yu suddenly slammed the staff in his hand against the ground, and his head and feet left the ground. When his body reached the highest point, he suddenly retracted his staff and sent out a chi wave from his palm. The recoil force turned his body around, and he rose another half a meter. At the same time, he used night jump and appeared on the back of the dragon. A warrior's persistence was about 2 meters long. Wang Yu was 186 meters tall. With the help of the chi wave, he teleported 5 meters away. It was just enough. In terms of data, it was passable. If it was a keystroke, the difficulty would be the same as the blind monk in League of Legends. If a professional player's reaction speed and hand speed were fast enough, it was still achievable. However, this was in holographic mode. In holographic mode, one couldn't just rely on one's reaction speed to achieve this. While the giant dragon was attacking, one had to coordinate all the muscles and nerves of the entire body. The angle of the psychic wave also had to be accurately judged. Therefore, to be able to do this, one had to rely entirely on technique, the pinnacle of the human body's technique. GMs had been in the game industry for so many years, but they had never seen such a crazy guy. Flying onto the Fire Dragon Emperor's back, Wang Yu wiped the sweat off his forehead. To be honest, with Wang Yu's current attributes, it was really difficult for him to do this. Especially when he saw the blooming fire lotuses on the ground, Wang Yu felt lucky. The Fire Dragon Emperor was still desperately setting up the fire. Wang Yu took out the famous sword Dao Shui dagger and stabbed it into the Fire Dragon Emperor's neck. As the saying went, hit the snake's weak spot and hit the dragon's reverse scale. The Fire Dragon Emperor's neck had a circle of reverse scales. It should be the legendary reverse scale. Puchi. -5,895 critical damage. Wang Yu stabbed it and blood spurted out. The boiling blood splashed onto Wang Yu's body, and Wang Yu's health dropped. Those with dragons in their names are really not to be trifled with. Wang Yu carefully pulled out the dagger and was about to stab it again. Literature Tower, roar! The Fire Dragon Emperor felt the pain and turned around immediately. Wang Yu was flustered as he hugged the dragon's neck tightly. He grabbed the dagger and slid it across the dragon's neck. -5,476. Another critical hit. Wang Yu was delighted. It turned out that attacking the Fire Dragon Sovereign's reverse scale had a 100% chance of a critical hit. The Fire Dragon Sovereign had been in Celestial Dragon City for many years and had never been treated like this. Not only had his crotch been stepped on, but his reverse scale had also been stabbed twice. The enraged Fire Dragon Sovereign struggled and flew around in the air like a headless fly. Wang Yu used the coiling force and locked his legs around the neck of the Fire Dragon Emperor. With one hand around the Fire Dragon Emperor's throat, he grabbed the dagger with his other hand and sliced the Fire Dragon Emperor's reverse scale again and again. The sound was ear-piercing. Dragon blood flowed down Wang Yu's wrist and covered his entire body. His HP was also decreasing. If not for the Heavenly Silkworm Armor's HP recovery effect, Wang Yu would have long since been burned to death. 4582-3657. The health of the Fire Dragon Emperor dropped bit by bit. Just one more slash, and it was about to be slaughtered. The Fire Dragon Emperor seemed to have lost its mind as it fell towards the ground. Lowly human, great dragons! Even if you die, you must die with dignity. This brat is going to kill himself. Wang Yu was stunned. If this brat dies, then so be it. Don't drag me down with you. He released his limbs and jumped back. At the same time, wolf shadows smashed onto the Fire Dragon Sovereign's body. Silver Wolf Charge summoned 7 Wolf Kings to attack the enemy at the same time. Each Wolf King dealt damage equal to the user's strength x3. Cooldown, 6 hours. This was the first time Wang Yu used this move. His strength was around 100 now, and the 7 wolf shadows dealt 2,100 damage to the dragon. Literature building, bang! The fire dragon sovereign was smashed into white light in midair, and a bunch of things fell from the sky. Dusk Leap was still on cooldown, and Wang Yu landed at high speed. Even if he was strong, he did not have time to quick recover under such circumstances. He only had 10 HP left. After the people of Chuanjin died, they were in low spirit. They walked towards the tavern with their heads lowered. At the entrance of the tavern, a punishment paladin walked towards them. The punishment paladin smiled and said, "Everyone, you've come all the way to Sky Dragon City to die. You must be in a good mood." Everyone looked up and saw that it was Dugu Jiuqiang. Dugu Jiuqiang had an archer behind him. It was the guy who lured the boss. F***CK. When the people of Chuanjin saw that person, they immediately realized why the boss would suddenly attack them. It was Dugu Jiuqiang who did it. At this time, Wuji said coldly, "Humph, at least we can steal the boss before we die." "Ha! After so many years, Wuji dog, you still like to win in spirit." Dugu Jiuqiang laughed. "Same to you. I'm not happy today. If you want to die, I can help you." Wuji had been playing with eagles all year round. Now that he had been pecked in the eye by an eagle, he was not in a good mood. He looked like he would start a fight if he did not like it. The more Dugu Jiuqiang saw that Wuji was angry, the happier he felt. He said proudly, "Don't be so angry. We've known each other for a long time. Since you've come all the way here to die, I'll treat you to a drink today." "Humph. Remember what you said." Wuji rolled his eyes at Dugu Jiuqiang, then said to the tavern owner, "1 gold coin per bottle. Pack 10 bottles for me." Dugu Jiuqiang laughed mockingly as he paid the bill. "Haha, Chuanjin is still the same. Shameless. But I'm happy today. 10 gold coins to buy my happiness, I accept." Just as Dugu Jiuqiang paid the bill, a world announcement suddenly flashed across the screen. World announcement. Yu Huiqing player, Iron Ox, has killed Gold Elite Boss Dragonblood Spear God in Heavenly Dragon City and achieved the first kill, advancing one step further on the path of a powerhouse. System notification. You have killed Boss Dragonblood Spear God and obtained 70 million experience. System notification. You have reached level 20. System notification. You have killed neutral faction boss Dragonblood Spear God and obtained the title Dragon Slayer. Heavenly Dragon City honor -50. Current status is hate. Dragon's favorability -50. Current status is hate. Dragon Slayer. 20 strength, 20 vitality. It has a restraining effect on dragon monsters. Whoosh. A golden light flashed, and Wang Yu rose to level 20. His status was full. That was exciting. Wang Yu muttered as he lay on the ground. There were no monsters like this for him to practice on in real life. After such a big battle, Wang Yu was also exhausted. After resting for a while, Wang Yu walked up and picked up the items dropped by the Dragonblood Spear God. The Great Fire Dragon Sovereign had only dropped one piece of equipment. The rest were all materials and blueprints. Fire Dragon Fong, Bow, Dark Gold, Attack 80-100 Mana 60 to 9021 Agility 15 Strength Dragon's Aura. Counters Beast-type Monsters Dragon Strike. 30% chance to cripple target and reduce movement speed by 30%. Dragon Flame. Normal attack has burning damage. Dragon's Rage. Increases attack and attack speed by 80% for 40 seconds. Level requirement. 25 class requirement. Marksman. There were only 2 dark gold weapons in the world, and one of them was even obtained by Wang Yu. The level requirement was very high, and Dao Shui sold it for 240 gold coins. This crossbow only had a level requirement of 25, and it was obviously seasonal equipment. Its price was definitely higher than that dark gold broadsword. Thinking of this, Wang Yu grinned and put the crossbow into his bag. He started to look at the other items. Fire Dragon's Blood, quest item. Seeing that it was a quest item, Wang Yu carefully put away the fire dragon blood. The system was such a scam. All quest items had their own uses. The rest were materials. Fire dragon meat x10. Rare material, can be used to cook food. Fire dragon scale x12. Rare material, can be used to make equipment. After throwing the materials into his bag, Wang Yu picked up the last small box. When he opened the small box and saw what was inside, Wang Yu was slightly stunned. This was a blueprint, and it was a blueprint that only Wang Yu could use. Magic cartridge making blueprint. Create a cartridge with magic power. Requirement: magic crystal. Class requirement: beginner engineer. Wang Yu was surprised at first, but he quickly understood. The Dragon Blood Spear God was a boss that used guns. It was normal for it to drop something like this. After putting away everything, Wang Yu opened the flashing message bar. After filtering out the congratulatory messages, he clicked on Chuanjin's guild channel. Wuji was there happily talking to Wang Yu. Iron Ox. You're really something. You didn't see the face of Gundog, ha ha ha. What happened? Wang Yu asked curiously. Everyone started talking about what had just happened in the channel. Haha, that big idiot. Wang Yu mourned for Dugu Jiuqiang. Suddenly, famous sword Dao Shui asked, Iron Ox, did you pick up my dagger? Wang Yu threw a screenshot over and said, Of course, your dagger helped me a lot today. If it weren't for famous sword Dao Shui's dagger, Wang Yu might have been able to kill the fire dragon sovereign by strangling its neck. Hey, this dagger isn't right. Famous sword Dao Shui saw his dagger and mumbled in the channel. Chapter 107. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. No way, I only have this dagger in my bag. I can't be mistaken. Wang Yu was also a little confused. He took out the dagger and found that it was indeed different. This netherworld spear was originally dark blue in color. Its blade was very narrow, like a thin needle. Now it was about 2 fingers wide. A red light flowed on the blue blade's body. The blade itself had turned blood red. Nether Dragon Slayer, dagger, gold, attack, 47-69 mana, 22-46 Nether Strike. Deals damage equal to attack plus agility x2. Nether. Passively increases stealth by 30%. Fire Dragon's Baptism. Stains Dragon's first drop of reverse scale blood. Attacks with dragon fire damage. Level requirement: 15. Seeing the stats, the others were amazed, praising Ming Jian Daoshua's luck. In Rebirth, equipment grades could be increased, but they had to find special NPCs, complete a bunch of quests, and find a bunch of materials. Therefore, if they couldn't find a weapon that they liked, very few people would think about it. After all, silver weapons and such would become obsolete in the later stages of the game. However, Ming Jian Daoshua's dagger's passive was too overpowered. If it wasn't for the fact that its level and grade were too low, it would be a godly weapon in the later stages of the game. Who would have thought that losing it would be a blessing in disguise, turning it into such a good item? It made the others very envious. Mingdu said sourly, Why didn't it drop my staff? Because you're afraid of death and sold out your teammates. Bao San said fiercely. God Nyo, that Dragonblood Spear God is so strong, what did it drop in the end? Wang Yu said, A bunch of materials. I'll tell you when I get back. Speaking of which, where are you guys? The tavern. It's on Thunder Dragon Road. Just ask an NPC and they'll tell you. Okay. Closing the chat, Wang Yu opened the world map and walked in the direction of Sky Dragon City. After waiting for a long time, Wang Yu looked around and came to the tavern. Wuji asked impatiently, What's going on? Did you get lost? Wang Yu wiped his cold sweat and said, I don't know why, but the people here all look at me with killing intent. Killing intent. Everyone broke out in a cold sweat, and they thought to themselves, this guy's words are really profound. That's right. Sai, you wouldn't understand even if I told you. Wang Yu sighed and shouted at the tavern owner, Boss, give me a glass of negus. 10 silver coins. Come and get it yourself. The boss replied coldly. F***ck. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. What a scam. Normally, Negus's cup would cost 1 silver coin, and the waiter would personally bring it to him. How come it became 10 silver coins when it came to Iron Hero, and he even asked them to fetch it? See? The NPCs here are all like that. Wang Yu shrugged. How much honor do you have in Heavenly Dragon City? Chun Xiang asked. 50. Alright, let's go back to our hometown. You, how many sins have you committed? You actually lost 50 honor points. Everyone replied one after another. I only killed a dragonblood spear god. That guy seems to be from some neutral faction. Literature building. Everyone was stunned for a moment. Mingdu murmured, so this game also has factions. Faction? What's that? The word faction sounded like killing intent to the newbie Wang Yu. It's choosing a faction, understand? In Western fantasy games, it's common to see alliance, neutral, and horde. In wuxia online games, it's common to see greedy wolf, broken army, and 7 kills. In this game, it's darkness in the light. It's only released after level 25, Chun Xiang explained. Chun Xiang had participated in the closed beta, and he had a thorough understanding of the game. What's the benefit of joining a faction? Wang Yu asked again. There's no benefit. It's just dividing the players into 2 opposing sides. When they meet, they'll fight to the death. After that, you'll get faction points. The neutral faction is just a bystander. Dragons belong to the neutral faction. If you kill their people, the neutral faction will view Sky Dragon City as an enemy. If you're targeted by dragons for no reason, you'll be lucky if they don't hack you to death. Damn, there's even such a thing? Then why do you want the players to fight to the death? Wang Yu asked again. Although he was very violent when he fought, he was actually a pacifist deep down. Chun Xiang said, fighting with others is fun. PK is the most important part of the game. If the players don't PK, the game company won't be able to earn money. Hee, why do I feel like you're being played by the game company? Wang Yu laughed coldly. Everyone looked at him in disdain. TSK, you're talking like you're not. There's probably no one in the game who has killed more people than you. Wang Yu said righteously, I've killed people who deserve to be killed. Is that so? Mingjian Daoshua squinted his eyes and asked. He had a dark history of Wang Yu cheating people. Wang Yu squinted his eyes. Daoshua, your dagger is still in my hands. When Mingjian Daoshua heard Wang Yu say this, he shrunk his neck and quickly changed the topic. Nyogo, you're so smart, so the people you kill are naturally bad people. What did the dragonblood spear drop? A pile of trash. As he spoke, Wang Yu threw the dragon meat, dragon scales, and fire dragon tooth on the table and showed them. Wang Yu had already learned the magic clip, so he didn't take it out to show off. These are all rare materials. Trash? Everyone glared at Wang Yu, who didn't know what was good for him. Wuji reached out and took the dragon meat. Then, he said, I learned the cooking skill. When I get back to the encampment, I'll make something delicious for you guys. I don't need to pay for this dragon meat, right? Wang Yu waved his hand generously. Take it. It's useless to me anyway. Wuji chuckled and put it in his bag. Everyone cursed in their hearts. How shameless of you to lie to a noob. This dragon meat is worth 10 gold coins in the market. Although they were cursing in their hearts, no one said it out loud. After all, Wuji was a good-for-nothing. In Xuanzhen, he was the only one who knew how to cook. Food made with rare materials always added permanent attribute. There was no need to offend this petty bastard over such a trivial matter. Does anyone want the dragon scales? Wang Yu asked as he looked around. Bao San said, this thing can be used to forge equipment. Nyogo, you're also a blacksmith. You should keep it for yourself. Wang Yu smiled. All right then. Bao San, hurry up and find the materials. When the time comes, I'll forge an equipment set for you. This guy still remembered to take Bao San's blueprint to practice. Okay. Bao San didn't refuse this time. Wang Yu's alchemy was equivalent to an advanced blacksmith. It was unique in the entire game. How much is this crossbow worth? Wang Yu turned around and asked Dao Shuakendo. Dao Shuakendo frowned. It's a seasonal equipment. It's hard to say the price. If we auction it off, it might sell for a high price. However, the fees will be high. It's better to keep it and try to sell it. All right, I'll listen to you. Wang Yu casually put everything on the table back into his bag. Wuji stood up and said, "Let's go. Let's go home." Leaving so soon? We haven't walked around yet. Wang Yu said. Walk around my ass. This is the lair of the apocalypse. Wuji said angrily. Are you afraid? Wuji said, I'm afraid that something will happen to you. Do you think this is you Huiqing? With your honor points, the guards will arrest you if you spit on the ground. If they kill someone, don't even think about leaving. Yang Na said disdainfully, Have you never thought of letting Sister Xian bring me along? What about me? Just run. No way. Wang Yu rejected her outright. He would be an idiot if he ran all the way there. A literature building, Mu Zixian said helplessly, Hubby, why don't you take a taxi first? Yang Na smiled and said, Sister Xian, I'm just joking with Brother Wang. I have a car. As she said that, she pointed at a red Ferrari in the parking lot not far away. Mu Zixian looked at her enviously and said, I didn't expect you to be so rich, Lil Na. Bullsh *T. I have plenty of these crappy cars at home. Wang Yu said disdainfully. However, when he saw Mu Zixian's face darken, he knew that he had misspoken. He then said, Unfortunately, I still think that my wife's scooter is the most comfortable. Mu Zixian laughed and scolded, You only know how to coax me. Then we'll be leaving first, Lil Na. Although it's not as fast as your car, we'll still be able to fly first. Okay. Be careful on the road. El City was known as the Water City of Jiangbei. The scenery was very beautiful, especially the ancient city. It was a famous tourist attraction in El City. The entire city was built on the surface of a man-made lake. When Wang Yu and Mu Zixian first arrived, they would go to the lake almost every day to play. Now that it was nearing the end of the year, the ancient city was decorated with colorful lanterns. From afar, it was brightly lit. The name Water City was not in vain. However, there were not many tourists now. Most of the people who wandered here were locals. By the lakeside, they would set up a circle to read their fortunes. There were stalls next to each other. As long as it was not too much, the city management would not care. Mu Zixian rode the scooter and drove Wang Yu all the way through the streets to the entrance of the Lake Hotel. The Lake Hotel was a themed hotel on a small island in the middle of the lake in the ancient city. It had a completely retro design. It was said that it was set in a novel like Wu Dalong and Pan Jinlian. It was very culturally unique. It was so inauspicious. He really did not know what the owner was thinking. However, the food here was indeed quite delicious. The doorman at the entrance of the Lake Hotel was also different from other places. The manservant was wearing an ancient short-sleeved shirt and had a white towel on his shoulder. When he saw Wang Yu and Mu Zixian get off the scooter, he quickly came up and said, Dear guests, please come in. Our wine here is famous for its delicious taste. It's called Full Bottle Fragrance. It's also called Pour. Stop the car and lock the lock. The combination of local and Western culture was neither fish nor fowl. Wang Yu really liked listening to the waiters yelling. After he finished yelling, Wang Yu patted Mu Zixian's shoulder and said, You go in first. I'll go and park the car. Okay, remember to take out the key. Wang Yu nodded and pushed the scooter to the side. After bending over to lock the scooter, Wang Yu straightened his back and was about to walk into the hotel. Suddenly, there was a screech. A white Accord stopped behind Wang Yu. Wang Yu's intuition was amazing. He felt the discomfort behind him and jumped forward. Otherwise, he would have been hit. After the car stopped, a man and a woman got off the car. The man wasn't tall. He wasn't even 1.7 meters tall. He was dressed rather flashily. His hair looked like it was soaked in oil as it glistened. He wore a huge watch on his wrist. He didn't find it cold even in the winter. His sleeves were half rolled up. The woman was about 1.7 meters tall. She was dressed rather beautifully. After getting off the car, she glanced at Wang Yu indifferently and then looked at the scooter beside Wang Yu. She didn't say a word. As for the man, he quickly ran to the front of the car. After seeing that there was no problem with the car, he said unhappily, "What are you standing here for? If you were hit, you would lose your life. Do you know that?" Wang Yu narrowed his eyes, and a trace of displeasure flashed in his heart. There were many people at the lake hotel, so no matter what car it was slow. This guy drove like an airplane and even criticized him. With a cold snort, Wang Yu ignored the kid and walked straight into the hotel. Seeing Mu Zixin choose a seat by the window, Wang Yu quickly walked over and sat beside Mu Zixin. He asked softly, "Your best friend isn't here yet?" Mu Zixin said with a smile, "I'll call and ask. My best friend is really pretty. Don't lose control when you see her." With that said, Mu Zixin took out her cell phone and dialed a number. "Sister Yin, you haven't arrived yet?" Mu Zixin asked. "I'm at the door. Where are you?" Mu Zixin said, "Table 47. I'm sitting with my husband. My husband is the one who is quite tall and handsome." "The one in the suit?" Wang Yu looked up and happened to see a gaze looking in his direction. Upon seeing the person's appearance, Wang Yu thought to himself, "What the f***ck? Can it be such a coincidence?" Chapter 109. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. I'm sure everyone has guessed it. That's right, this lady is the one Wang Yu just met at the door. At this moment, the lady was slightly stunned when she saw Wang Yu, but she didn't say anything. She quickly walked over, and the short man followed closely behind. Seeing the short man, Mu Zixin whispered to Wang Yu, "This kid isn't even as tall as Sister Yin. I don't know what Sister Yin sees in him." Wang Yu was speechless. They were already comparing. He didn't know how the lady in front of him would evaluate him in her heart. "This is Zhong Yanyan. Sister Yin, this is my husband Wang Yu." Mu Zixin pulled Wang Yu and introduced him to Zhong Yanyan. Zhong Yanyan smiled and nodded. She pointed to the short man and said, "This is my boyfriend, Lei Jian." Then, she pointed to Wang Yu and his wife. "This is the Xian that I often tell you about. Xian, you are really like a fairy." Lei Jian looked at Mu Zixin and praised her. He quickly lowered his head and pulled Mu Zixin's hand to bite it. Wang Yu narrowed his eyes and reached out to block Mu Zixin's hand. Then, he held Lei Jian's hand. Lei Jian saw that the slender hand that he was about to bite suddenly turned into a big claw. He was shocked, but he didn't feel awkward. He looked up and smiled. I've been abroad for so many years. I'm used to it. I'm really sorry." Mu Zixin and Wang Yu sighed in their hearts. "Damn, he can really pretend." Zhong Yanyan explained, "Lei Jian is a foreign student. He just returned to China, so he's not used to it." "Brother Yu, don't mind him," Wang Yu waved his hand and said, It's fine. At this time, Lei Jian also recognized Wang Yu. He wagged his finger and smiled. So you are Xianxian's husband. I'm really sorry for being at the door just now. It's mainly because your battery-powered car was parked in the wrong place. My car was newly bought after I returned to China. I got into a car accident in less than 2 days. How unlucky, don't you think? Actually, you didn't park in the parking lot. Wang Yu replied calmly. Unknowingly or unintentionally, Lei Jian emphasized the words electric scooter. Mu Zixin's face turned ugly after hearing it. She asked Wang Yu, "Hubby, do you know him?" Driving recklessly on Huxin Road. Luckily it's me. If it were someone else, they would have been in trouble. Lei Jian's aura was arrogant and pretentious. He had the aura of a nouveau riche. Mu Zixin didn't like him from the start. Now that she heard that Lei Jian almost bumped into Wang Yu, Mu Zixin's impression of this greasy-haired and powder-faced little guy directly fell to the bottom. As if she could see Mu Zixin's displeasure, Zhong Yanyan hurriedly said, "We're all on the same side, what's the point of saying such unhappy things? Order the dishes, order the dishes!" And Wang Yu nodded and handed the menu to Lei Jian. All right, this kid wasn't big, but his taste was quite heavy. He ordered dishes like lung slices, heart tubes, spicy duck head in a dry pot, and the like. It was the kind with a lot of chili. Wang Yu usually practiced martial arts. He was particular about balanced nutrition. Overly heavy tastes could easily stimulate the body, so Wang Yu didn't eat spicy food since he was young. When he saw the dishes ordered by the girl, he was shocked. In the end, he randomly ordered a few light dishes. Seeing the dishes Wang Yu ordered, Zhong Yanyan was puzzled. "Brother Yu is eating these?" Lei Jian laughed and said, "Brother Yu is different from us. He's easier to support." Literature building. To be honest, Lei Jian really didn't know that he was an unemployed vagrant who was supported by his wife. However, the listener had a deeper meaning to his words. It was fine if he was ridiculed, but he even poked at his sore spot. Wang Yu was also a little unhappy. Mu Zixin said coldly, "Brother Jian, didn't I hear that foreigners don't eat offal and brains? You've lived outside for so many years, and your taste hasn't changed?" Lei Jian smiled blankly and said, "It's true that there aren't any outside. Didn't I want to eat more when I came back? Hee. Then you should eat more." Mu Zixin said with a smile. In her heart, she said viciously, "If you don't accumulate virtue with your mouth, be careful of hemorrhoids." Zhong Yanyan shook her head helplessly and asked Mu Zixin, "By the way, Xian, what do you do now?" "Game customer service. You know Rebirth, right? It's our company's," Mu Zixin said. Hearing Mu Zixin mention Rebirth, Zhong Yanyan immediately perked up and said excitedly, "Is that so? I'm also a Rebirth player. Now that I've joined a big guild, I can level up very quickly. Can you play? You can come find me." "I don't play much, but my husband plays more," Mu Zixin said. Lei Jian heard this and asked with a smile, "I wonder what Brother Yu does for you to have the time to play games." Wang Yu said lightly, "I'm a freelancer. I'm currently half a professional gamer." Lei Jian was speechless for a moment and said, "Sigh, I heard that doing this is very tiring and doesn't earn much money. After I returned to China, I started a small company. If you don't want to do it anymore, you can follow me." "Oh, I don't have much education," Wang Yu said lightly. "Actually, the requirement for education isn't high. As long as you know how to use a computer or mobile phone." Lei Jian rambled on and on about B2B, O2O e-commerce, WeChat business, Old Ma's family and so on. Wang Yu was confused and said with a smile, "Forget it, it's not suitable for me." Sigh, everyone has their own ambitions. "If that's the case, I can introduce a few friends to you. They are very good in games. With their protection, no one will dare to provoke you," Lei Jian said again. Mu Zixin said with a smile, "Wang Yu is very good at games. In Rebirth, he is the only one who protects others. Is that so?" Lei Jian laughed and did not continue. However, he still muttered softly, "What's there to be proud of in a game? If you are good at games, you will have to beg until you are old." Wang Yu's ears were very sensitive. Naturally, Lei Jian's words fell into Wang Yu's ears. Mu Zixin was opposite Lei Jian and could hear it clearly. She was immediately enraged. Mu Zixin was not a person with a good temper. One had to know that this lady did not even bat an eyelid when a hooligan pointed a knife at her. At this moment, seeing her lover being looked down upon, how could she stand it? She immediately stood up and scolded Lei Jian for speaking without thinking. who knew that Wang Yu would gently hold Mu Zixian's shoulder and press her down. Then, he said with a smile, "Brother Jian, how long have you been abroad?" "I've been in France for 7 or 8 years. Lei Jian said very naturally. "That's great. I've long heard that France is very beautiful, but I have never been there. I wonder if Brother Jian has any photos?" Wang Yu said enviously. Hearing Wang Yu's pandering, Lei Jian immediately smiled like a fox. He took out his phone and extended it to Wang Yu. "Yes, yes, yes. This is the Eiffel Tower in Paris. This is the Cathedral of Paris. Do you know Notre Dame? I'm talking about this place." Wang Yu frowned and said, "Hey, is this the Cathedral of Paris? It looks like the Cathedral of Rome." When Wang Yu said this, Lei Jian hurriedly changed his words. "Yes, yes, yes. This is the Cathedral of Rome. I remembered wrongly. This was taken when I went to Rome to play." Mu Zixian was very puzzled. She pulled Wang Yu and asked, "Hubby, didn't you say that you have never left home since you were young?" "Yes." Wang Yu chuckled. "Then, how do you know the Cathedral of Rome?" "I don't know," Wang Yu said honestly. "I've only heard of it." Mu Zixian spat out a mouthful of tea. "P.S. It's definitely not melodramatic. It's a real person." At that time, Uncle Nyo was quietly watching that person act cool. Then, I suddenly said. Then, it became awkward. Chapter 110. Not only did he fail to act cool, he was tricked instead. This was very awkward. "You've learned to be bad." Mu Zixian pinched Wang Yu and whispered. Wang Yu smiled and said, "Let's eat, let's eat." It was easy to learn to be bad, but hard to learn to be good. The NPCs in the game were so deceptive, but Wang Yu dealt with them calmly. Besides, those fellows from Chuanjin were the scum of the scum. Wang Yu had only scratched the surface. If it were scum like Wuji and Chun Xiang, who knew what would happen to this kid? Although Mu Zixian and Zhong Yanyan had a good relationship, Mu Zixian did not feel that Wang Yu had gone overboard. This was because Mu Zixian did not have a good impression of Lei Jian at first glance. He was pretentious, showing off, and had a wandering gaze. He did not look like a decent person. She really did not know how he did business with his words. Mu Zixian did not want her best friend to be fooled by such a person. Of course, what Mu Zixian hated the most was that he was so rude to Wang Yu. Mu Zixian had once said that the man in the family was the sky. No one could tolerate their sky being stained by someone else. "Ha ha ha ha." Lei Jian laughed dryly. After being pranked by Wang Yu, Lei Jian became a lot more well-behaved. He did not act cool until the end of the meal. After the meal, Wang Yu paid the bill and the four of them left the hotel. Lei Jian's heart was itching again. He pointed at Wang Yu's second-hand electric scooter and said, "Brother Yu, you should change your scooter. L City female sign, it's not like there's a traffic jam." Wang Yu said, "It's pretty good. It's natural and pollution-free. It protects the atmosphere. It's so late. It's dangerous to ride this thing. How about this, I'll send you back." "My scooter." Creak. Before Lei Jian could finish, a red Ferrari sports car arrogantly stopped at the entrance of the hotel. Seeing this car, the four of them were shocked. One had to know that there were many terraced roads by the lake. Only a Ferrari chassis would dare to drive here. Following the sound of the motor, the roof of the sports car was lowered. Yang Na, who was in the driver's seat, poked her head out. "Young master, you are here." Yang Na took off her sunglasses, squinted her eyes and shouted at Wang Yu. "Little Na." Mu Zixian greeted Yang Na warmly. Wang Yu nodded. "Why are you riding an electric scooter on the streets in the middle of the night? Hurry up and throw it away. Get in the car with young madam." Yang Na glanced at Lei Jian and said to Wang Yu with a smile. "Young master." Young mistress Lei Jian looked at Wang Yu, and then looked at Mu Zixian. His mind started to go into a trance. This brat was actually eldest young master. Eldest young master was riding a Motherf**King electric scooter? Mu Zixin seemed a little uncomfortable with being called young mistress, but Wang Yu was very familiar with being called young master. How can I do that? It's 800 yuan. Men always had feelings for things they had ridden before. Turning to Wang Yu, he said, how about this? Brother Jian will send us back, and you can take my scooter back. As he spoke, Wang Yu lifted the scooter that weighed a few hundred pounds with one hand, and it was easily thrown onto the front passenger's seat. Lei Jian looked at the broken scooter, and he was about to cry. An electric scooter is only 800 yuan. You can buy a bunch of scooters with just a little bit of paint on this scooter. Yang Na glared at Wang Yu and said, do you want to freeze me to death? The sports car had very little space. Once the scooter was thrown up, it would be completely open. Wang Yu said faintly, drive slower at night. The road here isn't good. After he finished speaking, Wang Yu opened the door and pulled Mu Zixin into Lei Jian's car. It had to be said that sitting in a car was much warmer than riding an electric scooter. On the way back to the neighborhood with Wang Yu and his wife, Lei Jian didn't say a word. But from Zhong Yanyan's eyes, Wang Yu knew that these two probably wouldn't be together for long. What a sin! When they reached the neighborhood, Wang Yu and Mu Zixin saw Yang Na sitting in the car with a black face. Their scooter was thrown to the side. Mu Zixin stepped on Wang Yu's foot and said, you can't bully people like this. Quickly go and thank them. Thank you. Wang Yu smiled and cupped his fists at Yang Na. Yang Na snorted coldly and said, no one has ever dared to treat me like this. If you King pick up girls again, I won't support you anymore. Looking at the resentful Yang Na, Mu Zixin said to Wang Yu, you should get a driver's license. The next day, when he went online, Wang Yu first bought a few bottles of alcohol and then went to Central Street. Hermit told Wang Yu to look for him when Wang Yu reached level 20. He didn't know what mission he was going to give him this time. After wasting 2 bottles of alcohol, Hermit finally began to speak. Young man, you are very capable. You reached level 20 so quickly. It's all because of your good teaching, teacher. Wang Yu said the system's lines against his will. Other than scamming money, this old guy had never taught him anything. Hermit happily accepted Wang Yu's flattery. Not bad, not bad. You are worth teaching. Since you are so motivated, I will tell you the story of martial god. I'm all ears, Wang Yu said. This was the first time Wang Yu heard about the background of the martial arts profession. Martial god is actually not from this continent. Hermit said, he said he came from the Far East. In his words, he is from another world. Can you understand? Yes. Wang Yu nodded his head. Wasn't it just transmigration? Wang Yu had read novels when he had nothing to do. Chapter 111. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. If not for the fire dragon's blood, Wang Yu might not have known how difficult this quest was. However, after seeing the fire dragon's blood, Wang Yu instantly understood that he had to kill 5 bosses. The Dragon Blood Spear God was a gold boss in manual mode. If not for Wang Yu coincidentally finding a breakthrough point, it was hard to say who would have died. Looking at this quest's introduction, these 5 bosses were definitely not weaker than the Dragon Blood Spear God. Light and darkness were the main attributes of this game, and titans were existences not inferior to dragons. As for assassins, although they sounded quite ordinary, the more inconspicuous an assassin was, the scarier they were. This was a principle that Wang Yu understood. Originally, Wang Yu had planned to go after he had a higher level and was more confident. However, the system seemed to have already known Wang Yu's thoughts and directly sealed his experience. Indeed, there was always a mountain higher than the one before. Seeing Wang Yu's dumbfounded expression, Hermit said, "Young man, show your courage. When Lord Martial God was your age, he had already challenged the authority of God. A true brave person must dare to face all difficulties. Lord Martial God once said, 'As a martial artist, why should we be afraid of challenges?'" As a martial artist, why should we be afraid of challenges? Hermit's words caused Wang Yu's fighting spirit to surge. As a martial arts scholar, Wang Yu's dream, since he was young, was to become an invincible powerhouse. Who would have thought that he would be able to live a peaceful life now? Even the hot-bloodedness he had when he was young had cooled down. Hermit's words once again ignited Wang Yu's heart. If he wanted to become a powerhouse, he needed to have the heart of a warrior. Yes. Thank you, teacher. Wang Yu nodded firmly and asked, "Where should I find these things?" "How would I know?" Hermit curled his lip. "Aren't you also a martial artist? You should have gone through this experience too," Wang Yu asked. Hermit said confidently, "Logically speaking, I should have gone through this trial, but I heard that the opponents were too strong, so I didn't dare to go. Lord Martial God is in urgent need of a successor, so, Wang Yu." Hermit smiled and said, "Don't look at me like that. If you complete the trial, you will be the only true successor of Martial God in so many years." "What are the benefits? Does being unique in the entire continent count?" Pretend I didn't ask. After spending some money to learn level 20 Iron Mountain Crusher and Falling Cloud Palm from Hermit, Wang Yu left the alleyway gloomily. Iron Mountain Shatterer LVL1 uses the striker's powerful body to slam into a target, dealing 150% physical damage, and has knockback and bone-breaking effects. Activates super armor. Consumes MP 50. Falling Cloud Palm LVL1 A Chi Master condenses a powerful aura into a palm attack. Deals 150% magic damage to the enemy and all enemy units within 50 yards. Consumes MP 50. After level 20, classes began to take shape. All classes began to learn powerful skills. Iron Mountain Shatterer's super armor and Falling Cloud Palm's long-range AoE damage were all iconic skills of the classes. Looking at Wang Yu's back as he left, Hermit grabbed a bottle of wine and gulped it down. His cloudy eyes began to clear up, and his thoughts went back to many years ago, when he last saw Martial God. As a martial artist, why should I be afraid of challenges? Then I won't be one. Sigh, why am I so unlucky? When I'm about to leave, I can't even find a proper successor. Forget it, I'll make an exception for once. But you must find me a qualified successor, okay? Yes, but are there any benefits? Thinking of this, Hermit murmured, "Young man, don't let me down." Teleporting to the guild encampment, Chuanjin and the others had already gathered. When Wang Yu arrived, they were about to go to the dungeon. Wang Yu said gloomily, "You guys go, I'm not in the mood." "What happened? Did you quarrel with your wife?" Mingdu asked with a smile. Wang Yu said gloomily, "I accepted a class quest. My EXP is locked." Saying so, he showed the quest to everyone. Everyone was overjoyed when they saw it. Chun Xiang clapped and cheered, "That's great, I can catch up to you this time. F***CK? Looking at the gloating guy, Wang Yu became even more gloomy. Then continued to be gloomy. "We're going to the dungeon. When we come out, we still have to kill Nian." Everyone knew that the reason why Wang Yu still followed them in the dungeon was because he wanted that bit of EXP. Now that there was no EXP left, of course they wouldn't shamelessly ask Wang Yu to follow them. After all, it was always others who hugged their thighs. More importantly, they could get a smaller share of the equipment dropped from the dungeon. In the guild encampment, only Li Shui and the others were left. The four girls had been having a lot of fun lately. They stayed in the guild encampment, buying materials, making potions, forging, and occasionally going out to get some lime powder to sell in the auction house. For some reason, Wang Yu wandered into the forging room, where Molly was forging. Molly was a very stubborn girl. She knew that the reason why the three of them were able to stay in the Chuanjin sect, a sect filled with experts, was all because of her big sister. Although she often said that she wanted to find someone to support her, if she really had to eat and be a flower vase, she would feel uncomfortable all over. Therefore, Molly worked hard to farm skills to show her value. There was no shortcut for subclasses. If you wanted to raise your proficiency, you could only keep forging. Only by forging exquisite items could you gain proficiency. Because it was boring, there were very few people who could train their subclasses to the highest level. However, for the girls who were terrible at fighting but extremely patient, subclasses were much easier than combat classes. The guild encampment's forging room did not require rent, and there was no need to queue. When Molly was tired, she would go out for a stroll and then continue to practice. At this point, her forging skill was already close to the intermediate level. When she saw Wang Yu, Molly wiped her sweat and said, "Landlord, why are you here today?" "I'm just looking around." "What are you forging?" Wang Yu asked. Molly said, "Armor. After forging this, I can advance to an intermediate blacksmith." In Rebirth, heavy armor and weapons required the forging skill, while cloth armor required the tailoring skill. Wang Yu didn't know much about sub-occupations, and he didn't know how awesome an intermediate blacksmith was. However, he found it interesting when he saw Molly smelting ores and patiently forging them into armor. So, he took out an ore that was shining brightly, sat beside the operating table, and began to study it. It was a magic crystal, the only thing Wang Yu could process at the moment. "What's this?" When Molly saw the magic crystal in Wang Yu's hand, her eyes turned into the shape of a heart. It should be known that women could not resist shiny things. If this thing was in Molly's hands, she would not be willing to sell it even if it was priceless. She would definitely find a rope and hang it around her neck. Magic crystal. Wang Yu showed the attributes of the magic crystal. When she saw the attributes of the magic crystal, especially the fact that it could not be used to process gems, Molly was disappointed. "This thing is useless." "It's useless to you, but it's useful to me." Wang Yu placed the magic crystal on the workbench and took out a small item the size of a box. Chapter 112. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. The box was more than a meter long, and the things on it were very strange. There were cutting blades, grinding wheels, milling cutters, stamping machines, and drills. These things were outdated decades ago, and people who weren't professionals wouldn't be able to recognize them. Literature building. Molly was confused as she looked at this strange fellow and asked, "Huh? What's this?" Wang Yu glanced at the item's introduction and read, "Handheld miniature machine tool." "Where did you get this?" Molly was sweating. Why did it feel so illogical for something like a machine tool to appear in the world of swords and magic? Wang Yu also said in a daze, "I learned a subclass called Beginner Engineering, and then I clicked on the icon, and this thing appeared, tisk tsk, the landlord is really capable." Molly gave a thumbs up and praised. She had to say that Wang Yu was much more awesome in the game than professional players like them. He actually brought out a machine tool. "Do you know how to use it?" Molly asked curiously. After living together for so long, Molly naturally knew that Wang Yu was incompetent in life. Not to mention machine tool processing, even fixing the television at home required musician to roll up her sleeves and do it. Wang Yu laughed and said, "If a girl like you can forge iron, why can't I play with machine tools?" Molly's face turned slightly red. She had forgotten that this was a game, and all professions had system support. As he spoke, Wang Yu clicked on the switch of the machine tool. Then, 5 options appeared in front of Wang Yu: cut, punch, mill, grind, and drill. The process of processing the magic cartridge was cut, mill, grind, and drill. Therefore, Wang Yu threw the magic crystal onto the machine tool and pressed the 4 buttons in succession. It had to be said that everything complicated in the game was simplified. Making a magazine was a technical job. If it was in real life, a level 8 lathe would have to spend a lot of time to familiarize himself with making a magazine. In the game, it was much simpler. The magic crystal was thrown into the machine, and it was quickly cut into 5 cubes. After the cubes were cut, the milling cutter slowly descended and hollowed out the center of the cube. Then, the grinding wheel ground the cubes into cylinders. Finally, small holes were drilled out, and a crystal-clear magic magazine was completed. From start to finish, it took a total of 3 minutes, just enough time for a blacksmith to forge a piece of equipment. Magic cartridge, flame allows firearms to shoot bullets with magic power. 5 of 5 regenerates a bullet every 60 seconds. Wang Yu was overjoyed when he saw the magazine's attributes. He didn't stop there. Instead, he repeated the process a few more times until he had transformed the remaining 4 magic crystals into magic magazines. However, the production success rate of the magic cartridge wasn't very high. Out of the 4 magic crystals he used, only 2 succeeded. Magic magazine. Repel allows firearms to shoot bullets with magic power. 5 of 5 regenerates a bullet every 60 seconds. Magic cartridge. Tracking allows firearms to shoot bullets with magic power. 5 of 5 regenerates a bullet every 60 seconds. Haha. How is it? Isn't it awesome? Wang Yu showed the 3 magazines. Molly was stunned for a moment before she asked, "How do I use this thing?" This question stumped Wang Yu. Up until now, the only firearms Wang Yu had seen were flintlocks. However, those were all equipment that dropped. The magazine and gun were one and could not be replaced. Do I have to kill the Dragonblood Spear God again and get a gun? Wang Yu thought to himself. However, Wang Yu quickly rejected this idea. Putting aside when the Dragonblood Spear God would respawn, even if it did respawn, there was no guarantee that it would drop a gun. If he really killed the Dragonblood Spear God several times, wouldn't the giant dragons come and massacre the city? He already had so much trouble fighting a level 35 boss. If a bunch of level 200 bosses came, this game would be unplayable. Thinking of this, Wang Yu sighed and put the 3 magazines back into his pocket. No matter what, it was his first time making something. Even if it was useless trash, it was still memorable. Go ahead, I'll go next door. After spending so much effort to make something like this, Wang Yu's face was burning. He awkwardly said goodbye to Molly and went out of the forging room. Then, he teleported to Yu Huiqing. Without experience there would be no motivation. This saying seemed to be true. After his experience was blocked, Wang Yu did not even bother to leave the city gate. He put up his account in Central Street and set up a stall. Then, he logged off and went to the official forum to look for clues about the quest. Mu Zixian was only a small GM. Her knowledge was limited to the things that players had developed. She had no right to know about such a high-level hidden quest chain. So, Wang Yu had to do it himself. Old Man Hermit had said that the so-called Hell was a Hell mode instance dungeon. Then, for the remaining 4 bosses, he had to put some effort into it. Darkness, Holy Light, Titan, Killer. With these 4 words as the keywords, Wang Yu started searching on the forum. Darkness and Holy Light were 2 of the more common terms. After searching for a while, there were actually dozens of them. After thinking about it, Wang Yu finally decided on 4 cities. Darkness City, on the other side of the continent, on the opposite side of Sky Dragon City. It was said to be the entrance to the demon realm. It was on the westernmost side of the continent, which was the western part of the 2nd district. Holy Light City, the largest human city. It was in the center of the continent, the 5th district of China. Titan City, the northernmost area, the Glacier of Despair, the 15th district of China. Sin City, the southern part of the continent, the Wandering Place, the 6th district of China. After memorizing the names of these cities, Wang Yu returned to the game. Not long after, Chun Xiang's message rang in the Chuanjin Guild channel. The Wandering Musketeers have spawned a Nian boss. Everyone come quickly. Everyone. Wait for me. After casually replying, Wang Yu ran towards the Wandering Musketeers' camp. When he arrived at the camp, the leveling area was already surrounded by quite a few people. Wuji and the others were standing outside with their arms crossed. Which guild is fighting? Wang Yu asked. Blood Alliance and Invincible Longsong. Mingdu cursed, Motherf asterisk cur these bastards. Yesterday they were fighting to the death, and today they're working together to farm yen. They really don't have any integrity. It was rare for Old Li to talk about integrity. Wuji smiled as he asked Wang Yu, Iron Ox, go say hi to them, why me? Wang Yu saw Wuji squint his eyes and knew that this brat wanted to play dirty again. Wuji smiled and said, because you need points. Don't you guys need them? If we don't have any bosses to fight, we can still go level. Apart from getting points, what else can you do? I'm doing this for your own good. F***ck. Wang Yu looked at Wuji with disdain and walked forward, waving his hand and shouting, hello everyone. Hearing Wang Yu's voice, the two guilds turned around and saw Chuanjin's group. Their moods instantly became gloomy. They cursed in their hearts. Motherf asterisk cur, are these guys here to steal the boss? I don't know if we can do it. It seemed like yesterday's battle had left a shadow in these two guild leaders. Right now they had close to 100 people, but they were afraid that they couldn't beat a mere 8 people. Chapter 113. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. Boss Wuji, what's the meaning of this? Blood Red War Flag and 2012 walked over to Chuanjin after the battle. Over 100 people were farming yen beasts. It was not obvious that 2 people were missing. When Wuji saw their expressions, he smiled and said, nothing much. I just want to get some points. I wonder if the 2 of you are willing? Blood Red War Flag was slightly older and had many years of experience as a guild leader. They naturally knew that good shoes should not step on smelly shoes. At this time, they were not in a hurry to refuse. Instead, they thought about it. It was not a problem to add 8 people to Chuanjin, but it did not make sense to have someone else interfere. This put Blood Red War Flag in a difficult position. To place one's pride was not much older than 2012. When he heard Wuji say that he wanted to forcefully get points, he was immediately unhappy. He pointed at Wuji and said, how can you be so shameless? Everyone was silent as they thought to themselves, you are really ignorant and ill-informed. Wuji smiled and said, Guild Leader 2012, what are you saying? We are all from the same city. It is fate that we meet. Who doesn't have inconveniences? As long as you make things convenient for us, we will make things convenient for you. As he said this, Wuji raised his eyebrows and looked at Wang Yu. Wang Yu smiled at 2012. Seeing Wang Yu's face, 2012 felt a chill in his heart. This face was simply a nightmare. It mercilessly destroyed the confidence of 2012's expert. Although it was not the same person, this one was more terrifying than the other. What if I say no? 2012 asked weakly. Wuji smiled and said, it's okay. We will watch from here. If you can't do it, we will lend a hand. Don't thank us. We, Chuanjin, have always done good deeds to win people over. A literature building. What are you talking about? Come on, join the team, join the team. When Wuji said this, the hairs on the back of 2012 stood up. He looked at the Blood Red War Flag and quickly sent a team invitation to the 8 members of the Quanjun sect. Thank you, guild leaders, Wuji said with a smile. It's nothing, it's nothing. Both Blood Red War Flag and 2012 had tears streaming down their faces. Wuji said, but we can't fight like this. Why not? Blood Red War Flag and 2012 quickly asked. Although Chuanjin's character wasn't very good, their strength was obvious to all. As the first guild to kill the Nyen boss, it had been announced to the world. There are too many people. We need to kick a few of them out. How much? The 2 guild leaders hesitated for a moment before asking. They were all brothers of the same guild. It wouldn't be good to kick anyone out at this time. 2. It's just 2 people. Can they really affect the battle? Blood Red War Flag asked. No, just 2 of your guild members will be enough. Wuji said, the Nyen points will decrease after a certain amount. Instead of wasting everyone's time, It's better to let them do their own things. Motherf * cur. 2012 was impulsive again and cursed. Damn it. Not only did he shamelessly try to earn guild points, he even wanted his own guild members to scram. What was the difference between this and daylight robbery? Let's talk this out. Don't curse. Wang Yu tried to smooth things over. Seeing Wang Yu, the two people from Blood Red War Flag fell silent again. Was this a form of intimidation? Boss Wuji, this doesn't make sense. This boss was discovered by us. If you make our people leave, our brothers won't be happy. Blood Red War Flag said awkwardly. Wuji laughed and said, It's okay. You can give me the leader position. I'm not afraid of offending anyone. Forget it. We're brothers. Let us talk amongst ourselves. Blood Red War Flag sighed helplessly and said in the guild channel, Everyone retreat. Chuanjin is here to steal the boss. The people that Blood Red War Flag brought had almost all been killed by Wang Yu before. Seeing that it was Chuanjin's people who were here to steal the boss, they could only curse and retreat. The people from Unmatched Longsong were not so easy to deal with. A few of them rushed up to slap Wuji, but before they could even take 2 steps, they were pierced through by Mingdu's thunder spear. Looking at everyone's shocked eyes, Wuji pointed at Wang Yu and said, This guy is the weakest in Chuanjin. If you're not convinced, you can come and try. The people from Unmatched Longsong were all dumbfounded. Such an expert was the weakest. The rest of them looked at Wuji in fear and the rest also retreated. In the Chuanjin channel, To Place One's Pride said, Wuji, aren't you afraid of the wrath of the heavens for saying this? Wuji said, What wrath of the heavens? Isn't Iron Ox a newbie? Who are they going to blame if they don't understand? Wang Yu was puzzled. Why don't they give the leader position to you instead of offending their friend? Chun Xiang smiled wretchedly. With Wuji's personality, if he really gave the leader position to him, he would probably kick him out when Yen hits the last hit. Damn, you guys are so evil. Wang Yu was sweating. Compared to Wuji, he really was not good enough. After joining the party, Chun Xiang summoned Imp and Yin Lao Air used Shield Strike to charge. The two pulled the aggro from each side and the players from the 2 big guilds retreated. Blood Red War Flag and 2012 hated Chuanjin for stealing the boss. They didn't dare say anything, but their actions were very obvious. The 2 of them stood at the back and did nothing. If 2012 was an archer, it would be fine if he stood at the back, but Blood Red War Flag, a paladin, was also standing at the back. Wasn't it obvious that they were slacking? Chuanjin and the others couldn't be bothered with them. Wang Yu rushed to the front and helped Chun Xiang and 2012 draw the aggro. To place one's pride, Ming Jian Daosu and Bao San took out their guns and started shooting. Everything was done in an orderly manner. The 2 people who wanted to watch the show saw what a true expert was. The shooting from the guns caused Nian to panic, and it started to go berserk. Blood Red War Flag was overjoyed and privately messaged 2012, Haha, Nian is going berserk. They're done for. 2012 also said excitedly, this is retribution. Even the system can't bear to watch this. However, the 2 of them were only happy for 3 seconds when they saw Chuanjin's people take a few steps back and take out firecrackers. Crackle! After a series of attacks, the Nian beast was beaten to death by these fellows. System notification. You have obtained 10,000 New Year points. Looking at the system notification, although there were 10,000 points, Blood Red War Flag and 2012 did not feel happy at all. This was because after the items dropped by the Chuanjin sect were picked up by the people from the Chuanjin sect, this group of people immediately left the party and left as if nothing had happened. Why are they leaving? There are still 2 people who haven't split the loot yet. Blood Red War Flag quickly private messaged Wuji. 10,000 points isn't enough? Let's see what your DPS is. Wuji replied coldly. But this boss is ours. Blood Red War Flag replied, feeling wronged. System notification. Message has not been sent. The other party has blacklisted you. F*ck me. Chuanjin ***************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** You'll expose the use of firecrackers in front of them. Wuji said disdainfully, "Tsk, do you think everyone is stupid? It's already been 3 days. Someone must have discovered this secret." Mingjian Daoxue said, "That's right. It's not as easy to collect firecrackers and fireworks as it was yesterday." "Then what do we do? Doesn't that mean that any party can kill Nian as long as they have firecrackers?" Yin Lao was very depressed. He had planned to use this secret to get the grand prize after the event ended. "That's easy. Daoxue, go to the main altar later and make this secret public," Wuji said. "Why?" Third Bao turned his head and asked. Chun Xiang laughed. "This way, the competition for killing the boss will increase, and no one will have more points than us." Everyone looked at Wuji. "You have such a dirty mind. Why did you choose the cleric class?" "Because God needs me. P.S. Hello everyone, I'm Third Bao, please recommend me." Chapter 114. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. The people from Chuanjin parted ways after walking for a short distance. After all, other than the 2 brothers, Wuji and Bao San, the others were used to training alone. Mingjian Daoxue, on the other hand, went to the forum to make a post. The miserable Wang Yu sighed and returned to the city. Wuji and the others wanted to help Wang Yu with the quest, but Wang Yu's quest only allowed 2 people to form a team. Moreover, the quest was so difficult, especially when they heard that the boss was like the dragon blood spear god. Everyone agreed that they should do their own things. That was the way of a real man, of course. Wang Yu wouldn't blame them for not being loyal. It was a boss in manual mode. It liked to attack the weakest people. Who would dare to guarantee that they were stronger than Wang Yu? Even if they went, they would just be cannon fodder. After thinking about it, Wang Yu decided to go to Holy Light City first. The main reason was that it was closer. Holy Light City's location was a bit like the imperial capital in real life. It would take 2 hours by train from L City to the imperial capital, but it would only take 20 minutes by airship from Yuhuiqing to Holy Light City. As expected of the largest human city in the game. When he arrived at Holy Light City, Wang Yu was completely stunned by this magnificent city. Compared to Holy Light City, Yuhuiqing was just an 18th-tier county. Not only was Holy Light City huge, but the most shocking thing was that Holy Light City actually reared monsters for the players to train. Level 15 to 20 monster areas were demarcated in the city. The players bathed in holy light as they fought monsters and chatted. It was much more fashionable than the countryside cities like Yuhuiqing. Even the level 15 Scarlet Church was in the city, opposite the priest monastery. At this time, the entrance of the instance dungeon was filled with people. Level 15 Normal Dungeon, Level 3, Level 2, Grandmaster of Combat, Go Away, Level 15 Elite Dungeon, Expert leading the team, missing an Elite Expert, Grandmaster of Combat, Go Away. The incessant shouts made Wang Yu extremely depressed. It seemed like Grandmasters of Combat were not welcomed anywhere they went. Since it was the Wings of Holy Light, it definitely had to find a monster with the light attribute. This made Wang Yu depressed. The light attribute. Just by looking at its attributes, it was obvious that it was from the Light faction. The largest religion in Rebirth, the Holy Church of Light, was based in Holy Light City. The NPC residents here also looked up to the Holy Light. Wang Yu suddenly felt a sense of unease when he heard that he was looking for the Wings of Holy Light in the quest. After running around the city for half a day without finding any clues, Wang Yu decided to take a look outside the city. Although everyone in Light City looked up to the Holy Light, the large guilds here were no different from those in other cities. They did not have the slightest bit of sunshine in their hearts. The large guilds had divided the level 25 leveling areas outside of the city into sections. There was no place for ordinary players to set foot in. Just as Wang Yu was about to pass through the monster area to find the quest boss, he suddenly heard a commotion behind him. Catch her, don't let her escape. I'll pay 100 gold coins to anyone who catches that girl. Wang Yu turned around and saw a petite masked woman running out of the city gate, followed by a large group of players. The leader of the people chasing after the girl was a guardian knight. The knight held a gold-grade staff that glowed with a golden light. His equipment glowed with a blue light, making him look rather flashy. The players behind the knight were also well equipped. Each of them had at least 2 pieces of silver-grade equipment. This surprised Wang Yu. In this day and age, steel-grade equipment had not yet become the mainstream. Most of the high-level players only had bronze-grade equipment, and those with 1 or 2 pieces of silver-grade equipment were experts. It should be known that most of the experts in Xuanzhen had a mix of bronze-grade and silver-grade equipment. Wang Yu turned his gaze back to the woman. He squinted his eyes and muttered in confusion. This figure looks a little familiar. Although the woman was in a sorry state, she was able to dodge the opponent's long-range attacks every time. In the game's holographic mode, there were very few players who could effectively dodge attack. This woman's technique seemed to be top-notch. What are you looking at? Help me! The woman looked up and saw Wang Yu not far away. A hint of joy flashed in her eyes, and she hurriedly shouted at Wang Yu. Me! Wang Yu pointed at himself in surprise and asked the woman. Of course. Is there anyone else around you? The woman was extremely fast, and in a flash, she had run behind Wang Yu. Wang Yu looked around. Originally, there were quite a few players around her, but when she saw the people chasing after her, she was the only one left. Ugh, the voice is also familiar. Wang Yu continued to be puzzled. The players on the other side quickly caught up to Wang Yu. Seeing Wang Yu block the woman, the leading knight walked forward with a gloomy expression. He extended the scepter in his hand, pointed it at Wang Yu and asked, "Are you that woman's accomplice?" Wang Yu tilted his head and looked at the bastard. He didn't say anything and thought to himself, with a scepter in his hand, he really thinks he's the Pope. When I was in Yuhuiqing, even Blood Red War Flag didn't act so arrogantly when they saw me. I'm asking you a question. Are you mute? Seeing Wang Yu ignore the knight, the subordinate behind the knight was unhappy. He raised his hand and shot an arrow. System notification. You have been maliciously attacked by Beijing's young Master Hua's team. You have 90 seconds to defend yourself. Wang Yu chuckled and knocked the arrow away. He said calmly, I don't. Wang Yu wanted to say that he didn't know the girl, but the girl quickly stuck her head out and interrupted Wang Yu's words. She shouted, He's my brother. Who the F***ck is your brother? Wang Yu's face was full of black lines. He turned his head and asked in a low voice. The Wang family was so big and all the uncles and uncles were sons. There were no girls at all. A little sister popped out of nowhere. It was really a pain in the ass. You! The girl smiled slyly and then shouted, Brother, they bullied me. Sorry, you got the wrong person. Wang Yu glared at the girl and turned to leave. If the girl stood behind Wang Yu honestly, with Wang Yu's kindness, he might have helped her. But she actually played this trick with Wang Yu. She obviously underestimated Wang Yu's character. Xuanzhen's people were shameless, but they would never do such a thing. They just met by chance and they wanted to frame him. It was really too hateful. Beijing's young Master Hua was not stupid. When he saw Wang Yu casually swatting away the arrow, he knew that he was an expert. So when he saw Wang Yu leave, he was slightly surprised. He then pointed at the girl and scolded, B***tch, I don't even know you. Hurry up and hand over the holy item in your hand and then come with me to the judge to ask for punishment. Holy item? Wang Yu was slightly stunned and stopped. The current Wang Yu was very sensitive to things with the word holy in it. Seeing that Wang Yu stopped, the girl said happily, I knew you wouldn't leave me alone. What's a holy item? Wang Yu asked. Hearing Wang Yu's words, the girl was confused. You also want my holy item? Wang Yu smiled and said, I'm just curious. If you don't want to let me see, then forget it. I'm leaving. Wang Yu really couldn't take advantage of the situation. The girl said anxiously, Are you really going to leave me alone? Wang Yu said, Big sister, we aren't even close. Don't say it so ambiguously. Then can you lend me a weapon? The girl begged. What's your profession? Archer. Give it back when you're done. Wang Yu threw an orange crossbow to the girl. Chapter 115. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. You're so generous. The girl took the bow and looked at its attribute. She was slightly startled and said with a smile, Aren't you afraid that I'll run? What Wang Yu threw over was Fire Dragon's Tooth, the only dark gold equipment in the game, and it was a level 15 equipment that was suitable for the season. At this time of the year, it was the number 1 artifact in the game. Equipment was more valuable than life. Such a precious thing, yet Wang Yu casually lent it to someone else. It was unknown whether he was really fearless or just stupid. A literature building. You can try. Wang Yu said with a smile, but there was a flash of panic in his eyes. After all, this guy was a newbie in the game, so he didn't have the awareness of those experienced players, so he forgot about this. Look at how scared you are. That lady chuckled, lifted her leg, and rushed out. What surprised Wang Yu was that this lady didn't run in the opposite direction, but directly towards it. Oh? That's quite arrogant. You want to fight us alone? Seeing that the girl was directly facing them, the Beijing young Master Hua's group was slightly stunned, then they laughed. The surrounding players at the city gate also observed a moment of silence for the girl. If you want to die, why don't you just run into the mob? Why provoke those guys? Beijing young Master Hua was a famous villain in Holy Light City. He was one of the 4 founders of Holy Light City's number 1 guild, Royal Root. These 4 people were said to be rich young masters, known as the 4 Young Masters of Holy Light. The 4 Young Masters of Holy Light were pure money players, and they had a group of professional fighters equipped with the best equipment. No guild in Holy Light City dared to provoke them. Even the boss of Safflower Headquarters, Yu Wanting, who was ranked 5th in the country, had to take a detour when he saw them. Why would a little archer, and a girl at that, provoke them? However, the lady's strength made everyone shut their mouths. Archers were an agility-focused class, so players of this class were generally very fast. However, not only was this girl fast, but her movement techniques were also very strange. She could always dodge her opponent's attacks easily, then fire her crossbow bolts when there was an opening. What shocked these people the most was that this girl was only 3 meters away from Capital City's young Master Hua. An archer was actually able to pin down a group of well-equipped experts at a distance of 3 meters. This was simply unheard of. 7 astral steps. When Wang Yu saw this scene, he immediately understood. No wonder this girl felt so familiar, so it turned out that this girl was Yang Na. The 7 steps of the Astral Dipper was a unique movement technique of the Yang clan. It focused on entangling, sticking, dodging, and sudden attacks. Even a great expert like Wang Yu would find it difficult to escape once he was entangled. Of course, for Wang Yu, Yang Na's level was still not high enough. It wasn't that there weren't people who could entangle Wang Yu. The Yang clan's 12th generation ancestor was a rare genius, probably able to stand up to Wang Yu as an equal. However, if Grandfather Yang was still alive, he would be 300 or 400 years old. Yang Na's 7 steps of the Astral Dipper was only 30% of the standard, but against these ordinary people who didn't know martial arts, it was still a piece of cake. After a few rounds, Capital City's young Master Hua's men had been killed. F***ck. Not bad. Capital City's young Master Hua waved the scepter in his hand, and a milky white halo covered everyone's head. Those people's HP that had been whittled down by Yang Na slowly recovered, and their speed also increased by a lot. Literature building. This was Blessing Halo, a Guardian Knight's level 15 skill. It increased all attributes for a short period of time. Capital City's young Master Hua's weapon was of the highest quality, so his Blessing Halo was not only powerful, but also lasted for a long time, a full 2 minutes. When the halo descended, Capital City's young Master Hua's 4 warriors quickly moved forward, forming 2 rows to form a square formation, and rushed towards Yang Na. Rebirth had been released for a long time, and players had more or less concluded some PvP strategies. Capital City's young Master Hua's people were all professional players, and they were experts in this field. Of the 4 warriors, 2 carried shields and 2 carried swords. The shield was in front, the sword was behind, and the shield was hidden behind. It was a combination of attack and defense. Godly Archer's level 15 dodge skill allowed them to move 50 yards, and when 2 warriors collided side by side, it was just enough to seal them off. The shield warriors in the front row would use charge and shield bash to stun the enemy, while the weapon warriors in the back would use charge and double slash, and the back row would support the damage output. No matter how strong a person was, they would die on the spot if they were hit head-on. The 4 warriors arrived in a flash. Yang Na chuckled and used Aura Alcade to dodge half a meter back. When the 4 warriors saw Yang Na move back, they couldn't help but think, charge distance is 300 yards, dodge distance is 50 yards, what's the use of moving back? Pa-ta! There was a soft sound. Before the 4 warriors could react, the 2 shield warriors in front were frozen in place, and the 2 weapon warriors in the back crashed into the 2 in front. Players in the same team attacked each other. Although there was no damage, there was an effect. The 4 metal cans creaked and fell into a pile. Lurker's level 10 skill, trap. Capital City's Hua Sha was shocked. How is this possible? Isn't she a godly archer? How can there be a trap? However, Capital City's young Master Hua immediately laughed. Do you think this is the end? How naive. Wang Yu, who was watching from the back, glanced at Capital City's young Master Hua's team, and suddenly raised his eyebrows. 2 people were missing. As expected, just as Yang Na was about to shoot a few more arrows at the 4 warriors, 2 figures suddenly appeared behind Yang Na. Be careful! Wang Yu exclaimed and used Night Leap to flash over. With a wave of his hand, a white gas rolled out and pulled Yang Na in front of him. The 2 bandits' backstab missed, and Capital City's young Master Hua's face immediately turned ugly. Brother, this has nothing to do with you. I didn't before, but I do now. Wang Yu threw Yang Na to the side and replied. No matter how much Wang Yu hated Yang Na, this lady was still someone he knew in real life, so he should help her out. You didn't give me face in Holy Light City? Capital City's young Master Hua stared at Wang Yu angrily. Although Capital City's young Master Hua's skills weren't that great, he had seen pigs run before. Seeing Wang Yu teleporting and catching people in one go, and such a skill was unheard of, he knew that Wang Yu was an expert. Rich second generations weren't stupid. If it wasn't necessary, he really didn't want to provoke Wang Yu. Otherwise, with Capital City's young Master Hua's temper, he wouldn't have talked nonsense with Wang Yu, and would have gotten people to kill Wang Yu long ago. Wang Yu laughed. Face isn't given by others, it's lost by yourself. Capital City's young Master Hua coldly snorted, pointed at Wang Yu, and said to his subordinates, "Humph, kill him too." These people couldn't even deal with Yang Na, an archer. At such a close distance, wanting to deal with Wang Yu was wishful thinking. Wang Yu lightly leaped forward, and rushed in front of Capital City's young Master Hua. Capital City's young Master Hua swung his scepter at his head, but Wang Yu grabbed his wrist with his right hand and twisted it down, causing the scepter to fall. Wang Yu caught the scepter with his left hand and threw it into his bag. His right hand suddenly lifted up, supporting Capital City's young Master Hua's chin. Capital City's young Master Hua directly leaned back. This guy was really good at taking a beating. Wang Yu's subordinates rarely had a match with him. Without waiting for capital city's young Master Hua to land, Wang Yu's left palm struck forward, and falling cloud palm flew out, imprinting on capital city's young Master Hua's face. Capital city's young Master Hua, who was low on health, was turned into a white light. Chapter 116. You actually killed young Master Hua, and stole his holy light scepter. Seeing Wang Yu kill people and rob them with a raise of his hand, those underlings of young Master Hua were all dumbfounded. What? Do you have a problem with that? Wang Yu turned his head and asked. There were only a few gold-grade equipment in the entire server. How could others not have a problem with Wang Yu snatching it so openly? Everyone was scared by Wang Yu's glare and quickly put their weapons into their bags. No, what a joke. These people were earning money to eat. The equipment on them also belonged to the boss. If it was stolen, their wages would be deducted. Anyway, the boss was already dead. No matter how hard they tried, the boss would not be able to see them. Why would they risk their lives? Wang Yu nodded with satisfaction. If you don't have it, then go back. It's not good to block the city gate. These people had already lost the will to fight. Now that they heard Wang Yu's words, it was as if they had been granted amnesty. They hurriedly left. Seeing that everyone had left, Wang Yu turned around and stared at Yang Na. Return my weapon. Yang Na played with the fire dragon tooth and smiled. This weapon is not bad. It suits me. If you want it, then buy it with money, Wang Yu said coldly. This was a dark gold-grade equipment. Famous sword Daoxue said that it could not be sold for less than 500,000. How much? 1 million. Wang Yu asked for an exorbitant price. He knew that Yang Na was not short of money. F***CK. Do you have any shame? A broken level 15 weapon, and you want 1 million from me? If you think it's broken, return it to me. What can you do to me if I don't give it to you? Yang Na flipped her hand and stuffed the fire dragon tooth into her bag. She said proudly, You can't run as fast as me. Wang Yu said, I can unplug your house's internet cable. You recognize who I am? Yang Na asked in surprise. She was wearing a mask. Wang Yu said disdainfully, Your butt is so ugly. How can I not recognize you? Hurry up and take that thing off your face. It looks awkward. Yang Na hurriedly said, I can't take it off. This is a mission item. If I take it off, all the guards in the city will come to arrest me. What sin have you committed? How did you become the public enemy? Wang Yu was shocked. Hidden class quest. Yang Na showed the quest to Wang Yu. Night Soul's third ring. Mission level A, Forgotten Holy Artifact. Go to the church's Court of Heresy and steal the Holy Magic Stone. 0 to 1. Can be completed in a team of 2. You've changed to a hidden class? Yes, Demon Hunter. Yang Na said. The magistrate's boss is called Heretic Inquisitor Willie. He is a level 35 boss and is quite powerful. My weapon was broken by him. The durability of weapons in Rebirth was a hidden attribute. If it encountered a very strong attack, it would be destroyed. Even the bow and arrow were destroyed. It seemed like this boss was quite wild. Who's after you? Wang Yu asked Yang Na. Yang Na said, One of the 4 young masters of the Holy Light from Royal City Route. That kid also seems to have a hidden class. I vaguely heard others say that he's called Templar. His quest this time is a 2-way street. Wang Yu frowned. That can't be. Aren't the hidden class induction quests extremely difficult? How can he pass it with his skills? He's rich. He can spend a lot of money, and he has many underlings to block knives for him. Speaking of which, why are you here? Yang Na asked Wang Yu in return. It's also a quest. Wang Yu also showed her his quest, S-rank quest, 5 bosses. You're so pitiful. Yang Na saw Wang Yu's quest and sympathized with him. The Demon Hunter's hidden class quest was only A rank, and it already gave Yang Na a headache. Wang Yu, on the other hand, was actually S rank. He had to deal with 5 high-level bosses. His luck was really out of this world. S-rank, that was a legendary existence that could not be completed. Wang Yu smiled bitterly. It's alright, it's alright. Where's the heresy tribunal ? Wang Yu did not find any light attribute monsters in the entire Holy Light City, but Yang Na said that there was a level 35 boss in the heresy tribunal, and it immediately attracted Wang Yu's attention. A level 35 boss. Wasn't the Dragon Blood Spear God a level 35 boss? Could it be that this was the breakthrough he was looking for? In the Holy Light Court, Yang Na said. No wonder. Wang Yu nodded in understanding. The Holy Light Court was the main hub of Holy Light City. It was equivalent to other cities' municipal governments, so Wang Yu skipped over it without thinking. After all, how could there be monsters in the municipal government? However, Wang Yu had forgotten that Holy Light City could raise monsters. It was not surprising that there was a light attribute boss in the municipal government. Bring me there. I feel that our quest seems to have the same goal, Wang Yu said seriously. Yang Na pouted. Don't flatter me. How can a petty thief like me compare to a fierce boss like you? Right now, I just hope that our missions don't clash. Why? Do you know that ladies first? You have no manners? Wang Yu laughed. It's just a game, why take it so seriously? F***CKU. Yang Na gave Wang Yu the middle finger. In the guild office of Holy Light City's Royal Roots, capital city's young Master Hua, who had been slapped to death by Wang Yu, was furious. He pointed at his subordinates and scolded, "You trash, how could you let them get away?" The first subordinate lowered his head and said, "That guy is too strong, we can't beat him." Bullsh**, aren't you all professional players? You can't even deal with a chi master. Capital City's young Master Hua saw that his subordinates still dared to talk back, and he became even angrier. From the moment Wang Yu attacked to the moment he killed Capital City's young Master Hua, he had only used a few skills. Grabbing and hitting people were all long-range attacks, so Capital City's young Master Hua treated him as a Chi Master. The position of Chi Masters in Rebirth was very awkward. Strikers had strong crowd control, and with plate armor, they could walk the path of a tank. On the other hand, Chi Masters had short hands, thin skin, and low attack. They were known as the trash of trash. A bunch of professional players said that Chi Masters were too strong. How could Capital City's young Master Hua accept this? Boss, you don't know, that son of AB**TCH knows, empty hand snatch. We didn't even dare to cut him. The second subordinate said with lingering fear. Empty hand snatch? Is there such a skill? Boss, be reasonable, don't you think you're missing something? Missing something. F***CK. My holy light scepter? Capital City's young Master Hua was reminded, and immediately lowered his head to check what he was missing, only to find that his main hand was empty. The subordinates were speechless. Most people would subconsciously check what they lost when they died. Capital City's young Master Hua was protected since he was level 1, and had never died before. Now that he died, he didn't even check if he dropped any equipment. The subordinates were speechless. Capital City's young Master Hua roared, F***CK, I'm irreconcilable with those 2B***cheese. That holy light scepter was a high-grade equipment gifted to Capital City's young Master Hua by his profession. In order to create this Templar, hidden profession, Capital City's young Master Hua had donated a lot of contribution points to the Holy Court. All the contribution points were exchanged with real money. That holy light scepter was the last bit of reward. It was actually snatched away. Capital City's young Master Hua's mood was absolutely F***ed up. Capital City's young Master Hua was going crazy when one of his subordinates suddenly ran into the office. Boss, young Master Chen is here, P.S. Hello everyone, I'm late again, please give me a recommendation vote. Snatch back the other demonic holy stone that was stolen many years ago. What about the last one? Do you know where it is? Eternal Silence asked. It's in the hands of the presiding judge, right? Isn't that it? That chick's mission must be to steal the other demonic holy stone, so all we have to do is wait near the holy court. Eternal Silence said matter-of-factly. When Hua Xiao heard that they didn't have to look all over the world to lure Wang Yu and Qinggu into a trap, he could not help but give a thumbs up and praised, "Why didn't I think of that? Qinggu is so smart." Of course. Eternal Silence smiled. In the background of Rebirth, the Holy Court of Light was originally the largest and only faith of mankind. The entire Light faction was born because of them. Everyone who looked up to the Holy Light firmly believed that the Holy Court of Light was the ruler of mankind. When the cataclysm came, only the light could dispel the darkness and allow mankind to live on. Many years of extreme religious worship caused the Holy Court of Light to become arrogant. They could not tolerate the existence of other forces. All forces that were not of the light were considered heresy. Hence, the Holy Court established the Heresy Tribunal to judge those that they viewed as heresy. Unfortunately, before the Heresy Tribunal could take action, darkness descended on the continent. 7 heroes fought side by side and led mankind to repel the first dark invasion. Because of this, mankind's faith began to waver. They no longer looked up to the Holy Light, and the Holy Court lost the right to judge other forces. However, the Heresy Tribunal did survive and became a violent organization of the Holy Court, specializing in combat matters. Until the Second Dark Invasion, as a professional combat system of the Holy Court, the combat power of the Heresy Tribunal was unquestionable. The level 30 paladins in the tribunal were all paladins and priests. They could fight, defend, heal, and deal damage. Moreover, according to the background story, they were instilled with extreme faith since childhood. Their bodies and souls belonged to their god. Like war machines, they would fight to the last drop of blood. They were quite difficult to deal with. The presiding Judge Willie was a grand priest who specialized in combat. Hence, in Holy Light City, if anyone dared to question the Pope, no one would dare to question the presiding Judge Willie. One of the demonic holy stones was on Willie's sword. On the way to the Holy Court with Wang Yu, Yang Na introduced the background story of her mission to Wang Yu. "That's amazing! Your mentor is much more reliable than my mentor." Wang Yu wasn't interested in the game's cliched background. Instead, she felt indignant towards Old Man Hermit. She had been feeding that old man well, but he wasn't even willing to give her a hint about the quest. Look at his mentor. He was afraid that his successor wouldn't be able to complete the quest, so he was eager to give her a guide. Yang Na smiled and said, "The Demon Hunter is one of the 7 heroes. Of course he's reliable." The two chatted as they walked. It didn't take long for them to reach the entrance of the Holy Court. "Not good, they're ambushing us." Yang Na suddenly pulled Wang Yu back. "Where?" Wang Yu asked. There were only a few players sitting cross-legged in front of the Holy Court. He didn't feel any killing intent. "Those players are. Isn't it suspicious for them to sit quietly in front of the Holy Court?" Wang Yu said, "It can't be. The entrance of our Yuhuiqing City Hall is like a wet market every day. How can a rural city compare to the Holy Court? The Holy Court is very domineering. The place of God can't be too noisy. If the security exceeds a certain value, the player's honor points will be deducted." Yang Na explained. She had done a lot of research for her mission. She even knew the time when the guards changed shift. Wang Yu heard this and glanced at the players in front of the Holy Court. It was as Yang Na said. The players were unusually quiet. Wang Yu then said, "There are only a dozen of them. Can't the two of us beat them?" Yang Na shook her head and said, "These players are very cunning. It's true that there are a dozen of them on the surface, but who knows how many are hiding in the dark. Besides, if we fight in front of the Holy Court, the Holy Knights will definitely come out to clear the place. They couldn't even make a ruckus in front of the Holy Court, let alone fight. Wang Yu rolled up his sleeves and said eagerly, dying only gives 10% experience. What if we can sneak in? This guy didn't care about his life at all in the game. Yang Na decisively rejected Wang Yu's idea. She warned Wang Yu sternly, "No, my holy mana stone is a quest item. It has a 100% drop rate. We have to think of a way to get rid of them." Chapter 118. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with wonderful novels to read. Think of a way. This kind of thing was easy to say, but it was more difficult to implement. The Wang family was a martial arts family. Using violence to fight violence was their family's tradition. For Wang Yu, using his brain was easier than letting him fight the boss alone. Although Yang Na's chest was not big, her brain capacity was not much bigger than Wang Yu's. Besides, intelligence and wisdom were two different things. Especially in this kind of matter, a god who could calculate 9 digits in his mind was not necessarily better than a sinister and cunning little hoodlum. Royal City Root was the local tyrant of Holy Light City. Wang Yu killed their leader and stole their equipment. They naturally would not rest until Wang Yu was dead. Going over to discuss letting them leave would definitely not work. Luring the tiger away from the mountain? That was even more nonsense. Who knew how many people were hiding at the entrance of Holy Court? No matter how awesome Wang Yu was, he did not have the confidence to solo a guild, especially those rich guilds that did not lack money. The two people squatted in the corner and racked their brains for a long time. Wang Yu said, "Do you have a way?" Yang Na said, "We can only kill them all." "Damn, I thought you were smart," Wang Yu said with disdain. So this girl was a jackal of the same tribe as him. Sighing, Wang Yu helplessly opened his friends list and found Wuji and said, "Now that things have come to this, I can only ask for help outside." Wuji, this kid was sinister and cunning. At this time, if he still could not come up with an idea, Wang Yu could only rush up and kill. "You still have a think tank?" Yang Na was quite surprised. "A think tank? Forget it." Wang Yu really wanted to say that Wuji was a wine bag, but after thinking about it, he still had to ask for help from this kid. Wouldn't he be worse than a wine bag? So he suppressed the contempt in his heart. "Brother Wuji, how have you been recently? I missed you after not seeing you for an hour." Asking for help, Wang Yu of course had to say some good words. "Good your ass, if you have something to fart, hurry up and say it." Did he encounter something he couldn't solve? It's hard to imagine that there's something you can't solve. It was easier to talk to smart people. Before Wang Yu said anything, Wuji had already guessed it. "That's right, I was doing a quest, and then..." Wang Yu told Wuji everything that happened in Holy Light City in detail. After listening, Wuji quickly replied, "Tisk tsk, you can't even solve such a simple matter, yet you call yourself the #1 master. You have a way?" Wang Yu said happily. "Tell me first, who's stronger?" You're amazing. Your whole family is powerful, okay?" Wang Yu gritted his teeth and wanted to tear Wuji into pieces in his heart. This guy was too shameless. "We've been talking in the guild channel. Do you think a god can peek into the guild channel?" F***ck. My honor, it wasn't easy to get. Royal City Root's guild channel was filled with cries and wails. With this firecracker thrown out, the entire Royal City Root guild, whether they were at the entrance of the Holy Court or not, even the offline players, all lost 100 points of glory. Honor was related to the favorability of the NPCs in the main city towards the players. Whether or not they could receive hidden quests depended on it. One had to know that honor could only be obtained by clearing dungeons. Each dungeon gave anywhere from 1 to 5 points. It was quite difficult to obtain. The NPCs in Holy Light City were different from the NPCs in other neutral cities. Now that their honor had dropped by 100 points, Royal Root might not be able to survive in Holy Light City anymore. The firecrackers were very loud. Wang Yu could hear them clearly from a street away. Wang Yu sent a message to Yang Na. Yang Na didn't reply. Wang Yu didn't dare to get closer. He could only ask Wuji. Wuji, will this work? Wuji replied calmly. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I've never done something like this before. F***ck. Do you know you're going to die like this? Wang Yu was so angry that he started swearing. What are you afraid of? You're not the one who threw the firecrackers. You won't lose anything if you don't die. F***ck. Wang Yu broke down. Wuji, I want to say something impulsive. I hope you don't mind. Just say it. You're such a scumbag. Bulge. P.S. Looking for tips, looking for recommendations. Speaking of which, why did it drop today? Chapter 119. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. Just as Wuji had guessed, Yang Na's face cloth had the effect of hiding herself and could make the system turn a blind eye to her. Literature building this girl threw all the firecrackers into the window of the Holy Court. Such a rebellious act was all counted on the nearest royal city route. Seeing that she didn't receive a notification of a drop in honor, but the royal city route, players at the entrance panicked. Yang Na was secretly happy. After throwing the firecrackers, she changed her position, smashed open the window and threw the fireworks in her hand. The sound of fireworks was much stronger than firecrackers. Compared to firecrackers, it was the difference between cannons and bullets. The people at the royal city route had just calmed down and began to look for the person who did this, when they all received a message. System notification. Your guild has provoked the dignity of God. Honor -100, currently in hatred. The Holy Court will send out the Knights Templar to defend the glory of God. Main City Notification. Royal City Route, players have disrupted the Holy Court and provoked the dignity of God. They have become the public enemy of the entire city. Within 24 hours, killing Royal City Route, players will receive honor. The players at the Royal City Route received the notification and almost vomited blood. They only sat at the entrance of the Holy Temple for a while. Who the hell did they offend? Young Master Dawn, what do we do? The players at the Royal City Route all turned their gaze towards eternal silence. At the same time, they began to despise eternal silence in their hearts. Damn, it's all your fault, you just had to wait for the hare. You didn't catch the hare and now you've brought trouble upon yourself. Even a wise man will make mistakes. Eternal Silence's face was serious as he defended himself. Then he lowered his head and began to think about how to solve this matter. The system didn't allow Eternal Silence to pretend to be deep in thought. At this time, a group of NPCs rushed out of the Holy Temple Hall. These NPCs were all wearing white cloaks and thick white armor. The crossed swords in their hands shone with a golden light. Knights Templar, 35, Elite, HP, 150000 MP, 150000 Skills. Judgment of Light, Glorious Cross / Holy Healing, Charge, Glorious Battle Formation. Seeing this team of NPCs, Yang Na, who was not far away, broke out in cold sweat. Not only did this bunch of paladins have disgusting skills, but their HP and MP were also comparable to a normal boss. What was even more disgusting was that they had both magic and combat abilities. Wasn't this the treatment of a main character? Holy shit. Templar. The players at the palace route were all natives, so they naturally recognized this group of tigers and wolves. Other than the Pope's personal guards and city guards, the scariest NPCs in the Holy City were these bastards. The glory of God is not to be blasphemed. The leader of the Holy Knights unsheathed his cross sword Kwacha and pointed it towards the sky. With a loud roar, the whole team of Holy Knights flashed with a white light, and their aura became even more terrifying. Cleanse these heretics who trample on God's prestige. The paladins received the order, lined up, lowered their heads, and rushed over. Protect me. If I die, I'll get compensation. Eternal Dawn was shocked, and immediately ran to the back of the team. The players at the palace route were all professional players, and they were all hired. Eternal Dawn was the boss, so when the boss spoke, they naturally had to put their lives on the line. After all, life wasn't worth much in the game, but compensation was real money. The hundreds of players at the palace route rushed out from all directions and blocked the paladins. There were only 12 paladins, but they were all regular fighters with both magic and combat abilities. They also had battle formation skills. These guys used charge, and like a steel knife stabbing into the palace route team, the palace route players didn't even have time to retaliate before the paladins activated cross slash, and a dozen players were instantly sliced into white light. The palace route players weren't weak either, and quickly formed a formation. The front row blocked the paladins, and the back row started to attack. This attack wasn't a big deal, but the players almost collapsed. System notification. Palace route player fought against the Holy Dynasty, City Glory -100, currently. The Holy Dynasty's current attitude towards the Palace route players didn't matter to the Palace route players anymore. In any case, they definitely wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. The system was too shameless, sending troops to attack others, and they didn't even have the right to retaliate. This was actually within reason. Even in the real world, the Palace route players were a group of triads, and no one would care if they went to the imperial city government to meditate, but if they threw firecrackers at the city government, they would still be caught, and even if they were caught, they would still fight with the police with machetes. Fuck, they definitely didn't want to live anymore. The paladins really weren't easy to deal with. Palace route's wave of attacks caused them to be slightly stunned, and they casually threw a ball of white light at their own heads, and their HP rose up significantly. Filthy heretics received the wrath of God. The paladins formed teams of 2, crossed their swords, and a huge pillar of light descended from the sky, landing at the back row of the Palace route players. Actually, with a few hundred players surrounding a dozen level 35 elite monsters, they still had a high chance of winning, but the paladins were too imposing, and the players' glory plummeted by 300, and with the system's threat, how could they still have the heart to fight? For a moment, they were actually suppressed by the paladins. A few hundred players were actually pushed back by a mere dozen paladins. Seeing how fierce the paladins were, Eternal Silent Dawn was in extreme despair, and turned to leave, but after a few steps, his head bumped into a tall figure. "Get out of the way! Don't block the way!" Eternal Silent Dawn was used to being arrogant in Holy Light City, and seeing someone blocking his way, he didn't even think, and pulled out his long sword to threaten that person. That person smiled and said lightly, "I heard that killing your people will give you glory?" Eternal Silent Dawn heard this, and his face turned pale. Eternal Silent Dawn was the smartest of the 4 young masters of Holy Light. Unlike the other 3 who were muddle-headed, Eternal Silent Dawn lived quite clearly. He knew that although no one dared to provoke the 4 young masters of Holy Light in Holy Light City, that was mostly because there were no benefits to be gained from provoking them. But now that the Royal City route had become the public enemy number 1, there were only a few hundred honorable mobs that were worth killing. In this lawless world, it was extremely common for people to ambush others behind their back. Thinking of this, Eternal Silent Dawn held his long sword in front of his chest, and said coldly, "You dare to kill me? I'm—" Before Eternal Silent Dawn could finish his words, that person suddenly reached out and grabbed Eternal Silent Dawn's neck, then threw him to the ground, and stomped him into white light. After doing all this, that person clapped his hands and said casually, "What's there to be afraid of? Only 2 glory is a little too little." Eternal Silent Dawn, who was at the resurrection point, didn't understand what had happened. He was a warrior with exquisite equipment, and he was instantly killed. Opening the battle log, it was written, "You were killed by player Iron Ox with glory, sinful -2, current 198. Chapter 120. Genius 1 second. Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. Sin value, killing people, was called PK value, making contributions was called honor value, What was the meaning of sin value? Eternal Silence was a smart person. He paused for a moment and quickly understood. Literature building. Sin value should be the special honor given by the system when one's guild was announced as the public enemy of the city. 200 sin value, 2 points for each death, so he had to die 100 times to wash away the sin on his body. There was an old saying in Huaxia, nothing can be redeemed even if you die 100 times. It was used perfectly by the Western god. Eternal Silence felt bitter in his heart. He clearly didn't do anything, but how did he become the public enemy of the whole city for no reason? Was the system god blind? Royal City Route usually didn't have a good reputation in Holy Light City. Now that they were in trouble, there was no lack of people hitting them when they were down. Royal City Route players were like street rats. In the past players avoided them, but now they were fighting to be the first. It was understandable how difficult it was to earn honor value. Killing a Royal City Route player was equivalent to clearing a dungeon. Not only could they earn honor value, but they could also take revenge for being suppressed, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Not long after, the resurrection point was filled with people from the Royal City Route. Eternal Silent Dawn didn't dare to go out because he saw you wanting of Red Flower headquarters, strolling around with his men. The professional players of Royal City Route also didn't dare to go out, because no one dared to act rashly without their boss's orders. Professional players were definitely skilled, but they didn't have any guts. They were just trying to make a living. How could they lower themselves to the level of these players who didn't care about their lives? Why aren't young Master Feng and young Master Ling online yet? Eternal Silence sent a message to young Master Hua. I just went offline and called them. They're hitting on girls at the bar. They want you to revive now and fight the landlord. Young Master Hua replied. F***CK. Eternal Silence was depressed. These 2 shameless guys didn't care about their brothers. They wanted him to fight the landlord, who had the mood to play at this time. At this time, a Royal City Route player asked Eternal Silence with a self-made poker card, "Boss, do you want to play landlord?" Eternal Silence was speechless. Since the people of the Royal Route had offended the divine authority, the stubborn Holy Knights would not rest until they were dead. Therefore, they wanted to take turns with the people of the Royal Route 100 times. After the people at the base of the Royal City were killed, the paladins chased after them. Wang Yu also wanted to earn some honor points, but Yang Na stopped him. "Don't forget what we're here for." "That's true." Wang Yu nodded. Compared to a hidden quest, gaining honor points was a small matter. Losing honor points was something that could not be done. Making use of the chaos, the 2 of them snuck into the Saint Dynasty. After all, the Holy Court was a church that was a few times bigger than the priest monastery. It had a typical European architectural style and was majestic. The main hall was 17 to 18 meters high. The area was even more spacious than the warriors' training ground. The statue of the God of Light was directly opposite the entrance. It looked like a kind old man holding a book in his hand. The book shone brightly, making people want to worship it. It's hard to imagine that such a kind old man would have such a group of fanatical believers. Wang Yu had also seen how difficult it was to deal with the Holy Knight. Those who were not afraid of death were the most troublesome. Yang Na said, "God's teachings are meant to lead people to do good. However, the believers used it as a reason to start a war. That's a tragedy." Wang Yu clicked his tongue in surprise. TSK, I didn't expect you to be so philosophical. I'm a professional." Yang Na chuckled and glanced at the Tai Chi symbol on Wang Yu's chest. However, Wang Yu's eyes suddenly turned cold. He said to Yang Na seriously, "Not good, there's killing intent." Killing intent? Yang Na quickly looked around. Killing intent was something that only a martial artist with a high cultivation could sense. Obviously, Yang Na's level was not high enough. "Over there." Wang Yu pointed at the statue and said, "Who is it? Come out quickly." "He. Because God leads people to do good, God is justice." Everyone believes in justice. What's wrong with that? As soon as Wang Yu's voice fell, a priest in a robe walked out from behind the statue and asked Yang Na with a smile. This priest was in his 40s or 50s. He was very handsome with blonde hair and blue eyes. However, his gaze was too King annoying. He looked at Wang Yu and Yang Na with a condescending look. Wang Yu sneered. Leading people to do good is naturally not wrong. However, forcing people to believe in God is no different from the devil. Oh! The priest was slightly stunned. He turned his face and said to Wang Yu kindly, "Young man, I admire you very much. It's a pity that you are gradually falling into the devil's path. Are you willing to return to the embrace of my Lord?" This priest was just an NPC, but the expression on his face made Wang Yu exclaim. It was too realistic. Wang Yu had seen many NPCs, but those with such realistic expressions were few and far in between. Only NPCs with high AI in manual mode would have such expressions. Thinking of this, Wang Yu used Detect Spell. Heretic Inquisitor, Willy, level 35, Gold Boss, Elite, HP, 300000 MP, 200000 Skills. Light Baptism, Divine Judgment, Angel's Descent. This is Willy? Wang Yu was shocked. This seemingly weak guy was actually a boss. Moreover, this old guy was no weaker than the Dragonblood Spear God. Yang Na nodded and said, "Yes. This old guy's divine judgment can destroy weapons. You have to be careful." "You're not helping me?" Yang Na spread her hands and said, "My mission is to steal the holy magic stone. You should do the technical work like killing the boss." "You're so disloyal." "Nonsense. You abandoned me and ran away just now. I don't see how loyal you are." Women were really petty. She was still calculative with Wang Yu over this. "How about it, my child? Have you thought it through? You have great power. As long as you are willing, the embrace of God will always be open for you. God's power is so great." Willy ignored the conversation between the two and guided Wang Yu with a kind expression. System notification. Do you want to accept God's Test quest? God's Test, Rank A, retrieve the lost Holy Magic Stone 0 to 1. Reward. Hidden Class Templar. Hint. Every Templar has a firm belief. Once this quest is accepted, Heart of a Warrior quest will be automatically cancelled. Wang Yu did not expect a boss to give him such a generous reward. A hidden class was indeed tempting. The quest was simple too. All he had to do was retrieve the holy magic stone from Yang Na. Yang Na was strong, but in Wang Yu's eyes, she was only slightly stronger than an average player. Moreover, God's Test and Night Soul were both Rank A quests. It was much easier than the deceptive Heart of a Warrior quest. However, Wang Yu was not tempted at all. The thought of him becoming a fanatical believer like the Templar Knights made Wang Yu unhappy, especially when he had to steal Yang Na's things. Wang Yu could not avoid her at all. It would be terrible if he stole her things. Moreover, Wang Yu felt that the martial arts class was more suitable for him. Forget it. Compared to God, I believe in my fists more. Wang Yu casually chose reject. Before the last descent of darkness, there was an unknown grandmaster of combat who said that. Are you really not going to consider it? Willy asked with a pitiful expression. Wang Yu moved his right leg forward and lowered his center of gravity. He raised his fists and said, "Cut the crap. I hate that expression of yours. P.S. Hello everyone. Requesting recommendation tickets, tips, collections, all kinds of requests." Chapter 121. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. When Willy saw that Wang Yu had not only rejected the mission but had also adopted such a stance, he snorted coldly. "Stubborn, ignorant ant. Today I'll show you the power of God. You block him, I'll go look for the divine magic stone." Yang Na saw that Willy's combat form had been triggered, so she instructed and ran back. As he spoke, Willie's robe fluttered even though there was no wind, and his entire body floated toward Wang Yu. This old man was a real gangster. From the looks of it, he was a proper long-range boss. At this time, instead of retreating, he advanced and wanted to engage in close combat with Wang Yu, a martial arts expert. Wang Yu extended his body, and with a flick of his feet, he smashed a collapsing fist. Willie did not panic. He tossed the scripture in his hand, which floated in mid-air and blocked in front of him. Wang Yu reacted quickly. He turned his body sideways and dodged the scripture. At this moment, Willie's right hand flashed with light as it slapped toward him. Wang Yu blocked Willie's attack with his left hand and suddenly reached out with his right hand to grab Willie's throat. Blocking and grabbing the throat was the most common move of military boxing. However, when used by a martial arts expert like Wang Yu, even a boss like Willie could not avoid it. Wang Yu grabbed him by the neck and pressed him to the ground. The boss was pinned to the ground in one round. Even though Yang Na was from a martial arts family, she could not help but be stunned when she saw this scene. When it came to martial arts, the more knowledgeable people were, the more they would know how powerful it was. For example, Wang Yu's move. However, in the eyes of ordinary people, Wang Yu's attack was just stronger and his posture was slightly more handsome. Literature building, however, in the eyes of a martial arts expert like Yang Na, it was different. The simplest move was the most effective attack. Only those who had reached the legendary realm of no move is better than a move could achieve this. As the saying goes, not having any moves wins over having moves. It wasn't referring to throwing punches without any pattern or technique, or using random punches to kill a master. Instead, it was referring to people like Wang Yu, who already disdained using fixed moves to fight with others. Every move he made was able to unleash great power. Only when one reached this level could he easily use all the moves, and then turn something rotten into something magical. Wang Yu was only in his 20s, but he already had such a cultivation. It seemed that the title of the most talented person in history was not just for show. If the boss could be so easily defeated, the designer could really go F***ck himself. After Willie was pushed down by Wang Yu, his face did not show any signs of panic. This made Wang Yu instantly put up his guard. Sure *enough, at the same moment, Willie put his palms together, and the string of beads around his neck glowed and wrapped around Wang Yu's hand. F***ck. Wang Yu was shocked and quickly withdrew his hand. Willie's face showed a hint of surprise. The string of beads was around Willie's neck, and Wang Yu's hand was also around Willie's neck. It was only a matter of time before Wang Yu was able to dodge it. How could Willie not be shocked? Too treacherous. Wang Yu squinted his eyes and stared at Willie. He thought to himself, using himself as bait to trick me, this old bastard is so ruthless to himself, he won't be any better to others. Willie looked at Wang Yu with admiration and asked again, "You really don't want to be a servant of God like me?" Wang Yu smiled. "A servant is a servant, I'm not that cheap." As a martial artist, Wang Yu naturally had his own pride. Humph. Willie's eyes flashed coldly. "Despicable heretic, this is your own downfall." Willie suddenly clenched his right hand, and the scripture that had been floating in the air suddenly flew towards Wang Yu's head. Literature building, Wang Yu hurriedly dodged, but the scripture seemed to have grown eyes. It turned and changed direction, following him like a shadow. How shameless! Wang Yu cursed gloomily. In reality, there is no such thing. At the same time, Wang Yu flipped forward, attempting to get close to Willie. Willie was not stupid. His body floated backwards and flew a few meters away. Wang Yu missed, and the scripture came crashing down. Wang Yu condensed a chi wave shield in his left palm and lifted it up. He spun upside down, and with 2 consecutive kicks, he sent the scripture flying. The light from the scripture dimmed, and just as it was about to attack again, Wang Yu's body flashed, and he used Dusk Leap to appear in front of Willie. Willie was shocked, and stretched out his hand to block Wang Yu's fist. Wang Yu chuckled. His left hand grabbed 3 of Willie's right hand's fingers and flicked them backwards. Willie felt the pain and his knees slightly curled up. Just as he was about to kneel down, Wang Yu kicked his knee, and Willie fell forward uncontrollably. Wang Yu's right palm moved upwards, aiming at Willie's elbow, and abruptly pushed upwards. Kacha! An ear-piercing sound of bones breaking rang out, and Willie's elbow was pushed up to his nose, and his entire right arm was forcefully broken from the shoulder. Minus 2,424, a number appeared above Willie's head. Whether or not NPCs could feel pain, Wang Yu was not sure, but this Willie acted as if he did not feel it, and let his arm fall, and then said calmly, "Shameless heretic. Do you think you can hurt a servant of God like this?" Seeing Willie like this, Wang Yu couldn't help but feel a chill down his spine. This was a cult using faith to numb one's mind and body. It was too scary. Without waiting for Wang Yu to recover from his shock, Willie waved his left hand, and a holy light descended from the sky. Willie smiled as he bathed in the light, and his health bar instantly recovered to full. His arm that had been broken by Wang Yu was also as good as new. Wang Yu was depressed. If the system was shameless, then there was nothing he could do. He had gone through so much to injure the boss, but with a wave of his hand, he was back to full health. How annoying was that? You must accept God's judgment. After using his skill, Willie's face showed a hint of fatigue. He then roared and opened his arms wide, his entire body like a cross. The scripture in the air flew to Willie's head, and then opened its pages. A golden light shone on Willie's head, and his entire body exploded with an infinite amount of light. This was a light-type monster. Putting aside its attack power, the sound and light effects were absolutely arrogant. When the light touched Wang Yu's health bar slowly dropped to about 1%. However, Wang Yu had a health recovery equipment, so his health bar quickly recovered. Wang Yu was very puzzled. This boss made such a big commotion. Is this attack power just for show? At this moment, Yang Na suddenly shouted, "Hurry up and dodge! This light can destroy your weapon." Wang Yu was shocked. He hurriedly looked down, and sure enough, his boxing gloves were a bit more worn than before. F***ck. Wang Yu hurriedly retreated, but no matter how crafty this girl's movements were, no matter how fast she was, in the face of this overwhelming holy light of judgment, she was nothing. Seeing that his precious boxing gloves were getting more and more worn out, Wang Yu gritted his teeth, took them off, and put them back in his bag. As a martial artist, Wang Yu's attack growth was not high to begin with, and the damage of his skills was also very weak. The reason why Wang Yu could kill people in one shot, besides the high completion of free mode attacks, was because of this pair of boxing gloves. At this moment, facing this boss that could recover health without a weapon, there was no way to deal any damage. After all, this was the Holy Court, the government of Holy Light City. Although the Holy Knights had temporarily left, if this place was attacked, they would quickly return. Therefore, to deal with Willie, there was no way to waste time. What is this? Just as Wang Yu was at his wit's end, rummaging through his bag for the broken boxing gloves that he had received when he changed classes, he suddenly found something. P.S. What did you find? Chapter 122. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. Eternal Silence was feeling rather sullen at this moment. He had originally wanted to stand up for his brother and show off in silence. Who knew that his honor points would suddenly drop by 300 for no reason? Literature building, then, he became the public enemy of the city and was blocked at the revival point. What was worse was that he couldn't even drink water when he was unlucky. He lost 2 gold coins in just a short while. As a tycoon, Eternal Silent Dawn didn't feel bad about losing money. He was just frustrated. If he really did something bad, it would be fine, but he didn't do anything. There were players everywhere outside the revival point, blocking the entire street. The players looked at the Royal City Route group as if they were looking at a boss. If it wasn't for the fact that fighting was prohibited in the revival point, they would have already pounced on them. Eternal Silent Dawn looked at the players outside the revival point, then looked at the landlord cards in his hand. He only had 2 3s left, and he became even more frustrated. Young Master Dawn, it's your turn, do you want it? Seeing Eternal Silent Dawn spacing out for a long time, the subordinate beside him couldn't help but urge him. Let me think about it. Eternal Silent Dawn held his cards. It's been almost 10 minutes, you still haven't thought about it? Eternal Silent Dawn glared at the subordinate. Think about it, do you understand? You guys don't use your brains, that's why we're stuck here, do you know that? The subordinate felt wronged. Didn't you want to wait for the rabbit? But the rabbit didn't want to. What did it have to do with me? Boss, are you trying to go back on your word? Am I someone who goes back on my word? Then do you want it? Let me think about it. Eternal Silent Dawn continued to play with the cards in his hand. Damn, who is this? Don't they know to queue up? At this moment there was a commotion outside the revival point. A pair of knights in white armor, fully armed, forced their way through the line and squeezed to the front of the crowd. All the players knew that these were the Holy Knights of the Holy Dynasty, so although they were angry, no one dared to make a move. Rebel against the Holy Dynasty? The Royal City Route was a living example. Damn! They chased us all the way here. When Eternal Dawn saw the Templars, he roared and stood up. As if he had seen his savior, he hurriedly threw his poker cards to the ground and pointed at the Templars. Stop them! TSK. When the surrounding lackeys saw the 2 or 3 players in Eternal Silent Dawn's hands, they curled their lips and stood up in disdain. They drew their weapons and stood in formation. Resurrection points could only restrict players, not NPCs. This was common sense. For God and justice! The Holy Knights raised the crossed swords in their hands and shouted loudly. Their bodies glowed brightly as they lowered their heads and charged forward. The 12 of them were like a wall as they crashed into the resurrection point. Royal City Route had fought with these guys before, and knew that they had high attack and high defense, but their brains weren't that good. When the Holy Knights opened their stance, everyone was already 1 step ahead and dodged. When the 12 of them crashed into the resurrection point, everyone once again surrounded them with melee fighters at the front and ranged fighters at the back. In Rebirth, the resurrection points of each class were different. For example, Eternal Silent Dawn was a Retribution Paladin. His resurrection point was at the monastery camp, while the monastery was the resurrection point for the priests. These 2 resurrection points were next to each other. Therefore, the people who were stuck at Royal City Route were all priests and paladins with low attack but high survivability. If it wasn't for this, with the skills of these professional players, they would have already killed their way out. No matter how strong the Holy Knights were, they were just small monsters without much intelligence. They were surrounded by dozens of paladins and priests. Even if they didn't deal enough damage, the Holy Knights couldn't do much. The battle between the 2 groups was very boring. The Holy Knights didn't have low attack, but the people of Royal City Route had a paladin and a priest. Paladins were also famous for being able to control tanks, so they had high defense. After being attacked by the Holy Knights, they only lost half of their health, and the priests behind them could heal them back up in a few hits. The Holy Knights couldn't do anything to Royal City Route, and the people of Royal City Route also couldn't do anything to these 12 metal cans. The Retribution Paladins focused on auras and crowd control, so their attack power wasn't their forte. The priests didn't even need to be mentioned, they had almost no attack power. Fighting the Holy Knights was like scratching an itch, and the Holy Knights could also heal themselves. After a while, they would heal themselves. In the end, the 2 groups fought to the death for a long time, and still had full health. This could be considered a miracle in the history of group battles. To be honest, the people of Royal City Route didn't want to fight such a boring battle. However, if they didn't fight the Holy Knights would kill them, so they had no choice but to fight. These simple-minded people definitely wouldn't listen to reason. After fighting for a long time, one of the players suddenly realized that something was wrong. He pointed at the Holy Knights who were trying to break out of the encirclement and said to Eternal Silent Dawn, "Boss, why do I feel like they're trying to escape?" Eternal Silent Dawn said calmly, "The Holy Knights are fanatics. They only have God and heresy in their minds. Why would they escape? Then why are they desperately trying to escape from the encirclement?" The subordinate asked in confusion. Everyone in Light City knew that the Holy Knights were brainless. Their fighting style was also very mechanical. However, they were both proficient in both magic and combat. They could attack, resist, control, and recover. Their main attributes were also abnormally high, so they were very difficult to deal with. However, this was the first time that anyone had heard of them desperately trying to escape. Eternal Silent Dawn laughed and said, "You probably don't know this. After being surrounded, breaking out of the encirclement and attacking again is a very common strategy. As long as we let them out, they will definitely charge at us again." Really? Eternal Silent Dawn's subordinates were all professional players, and in terms of gaming experience, they were even more experienced than Eternal Silent Dawn. Hearing Eternal Dawn's explanation, they were a bit skeptical. When did these blockheads become so smart? People always change. No matter how smart they are, I can still see through them, right? Eternal Silent Dawn laughed proudly. "We must defend well. Young Master Ling and Young Master Feng will be here soon. When we kill these guys, we will definitely get Knight and Priest equipment." Okay. As soon as they heard about equipment, everyone was on high alert. In the game, what could be more tempting than equipment? The Holy Knights were both Knight and Priest classes, and the respawn point was filled with Priests and Knight. If these Holy Knights weren't so brave, the royal route, players would have already pounced on them and killed them. The reason why the Holy Knights broke out of the encirclement was naturally not what Eternal Silent Dawn thought. The monster's AI was fixed, and unless the system was updated, it would not become smarter. The Holy Knights risked their lives to escape because Wang Yu and Willy were fighting in the Holy Court. According to the system's fixed pattern, once a player starts fighting with Willy, the Holy Knights will ignore everything and attack the player. However, at this time, the Holy Knights couldn't even leave the respawn point. Protecting the Holy Court had become an extravagant hope. Wang Yu smiled and swung his scepter twice in the air, shouting, "Hit!" At the same time, the scepter flew out of his hand and smashed towards Willy. Willy was chanting with his eyes closed, like a stationary target. He was smashed backwards by Wang Yu's scepter. Willy was still in shock, but Wang Yu had already caught up to him. He reached out to catch the scepter in midair, and with a backhand swing, smashed it into Willy's face. This move of Wang Yu's was called Fleeting Glance. It was hard yet nimble. At this time, Wang Yu had used 100% of his strength, causing Willy's body to shake violently. He staggered and almost fell to the ground. An expert like Wang Yu had always been able to kill with a single blow. Continuous, not giving the opponent the slightest chance to retaliate. Seeing that Willy had lost his balance after being hit by his own scepter, Wang Yu lowered his head and bent down, casually swinging his scepter at Willy's knee. Willy was already about to fall, and with another blow from Wang Yu, he fell to the ground with his back facing the sky. Wang Yu took the opportunity to step on Willy's back. She raised her scepter and smashed it towards the back of Willy's head one after the other. Without his 12 paladin underlings, Willy was really useless. Of course, calling Willy trash was only to Wang Yu. After all, this guy had single-handedly killed the Dragonblood Spear god of the same level. Although Willy was a BSS, under Wang Yu's relentless attacks, he couldn't find a chance to recover. He couldn't even get up, so he could only shake his head left and right in an attempt to dodge the attacks, and at the same time, shake Wang Yu off him. Unfortunately, Willie wasn't a close combat BSS, and his combat skills were terrible. Let alone Wang Yu. He couldn't even compare to the Dragonblood Spear God. Under Wang Yu's endless staff shadows, no amount of movement was superfluous. Yang Na was flabbergasted as she watched Wang Yu's vicious smashing. Yang Na had exchanged blows with Willie before, and naturally knew how strong he was. As a martial artist from one of the 4 great clans, Yang Na was quite proud of her own skills. Before she had met Wang Yu's name was already well known in the martial arts circles. Since young, Yang Na's parents had instilled in her that little brat from the Wang family is so badass, causing Yang Na to feel an indescribable resistance towards this other people's kid. Yang Na had always thought that no matter how much of a genius Wang Yu was, he was still only 20 years old. Furthermore, her own talent wasn't bad, and she had been training hard. How could she be left far behind by him? In the end, after witnessing Wang Yu's skills today, Yang Na was completely convinced. Back when Yang Na had challenged Willie, she had lost her weapon in less than 3 rounds. After that, she had been chased around like a dog. Now, Wang Yu had beaten Willie until he was at his wits' end. Then, she had trampled him to the ground and abused him in various ways. The difference between the two of them was obvious. When it came to martial arts, although it was said that hard work could make up for one's lack of talent, hard work was not something that could be made up for. Furthermore, Wang Yu had been training in martial arts since he was young, and he wasn't as lazy as Yang Na. It was completely reasonable for him to have such achievements. "Why are you looking at me? Did you find what you wanted?" Wang Yu felt Yang Na's burning gaze and turned his head to ask. "No, I didn't find it." Yang Na quivered and said as she recovered from her thoughts. "Oh, then take your time to find it." As Wang Yu spoke, he waved his scepter to hit the boss beneath his feet, appearing to be doing it with ease. Seeing this, Yang Na felt even more sullen. A string of numbers appeared above Judge Willie's head. Willie was beaten beyond recognition. As Wang Yu's attacks did not stop, Willie's recovery skills could not be used. Willie's health rapidly decreased, and when it reached 30, Wang Yu smiled and jumped backwards, dodging to the side. After hitting so many boss, Wang Yu naturally knew that when the boss reached 30, it would use its ultimate skill, and Wang Yu had been waiting for this moment. Just as Wang Yu expected, when his health reached 30, Willie's body flashed with a holy light, and he stood up from the ground like a zombie. Under the holy light, Willie's swollen face, which had been beaten by Wang Yu, recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Dirty heretic. Chapter 124. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. Angel of Judgment, Pseudo, Gold Boss, Elite, Skills. Heaven's Cross / Holy Feathers, Light of Judgment, a literature building, hee. Seeing Judge Willie transform into Angel of Judgment, Wang Yu laughed. Wang Yu's guess was right. Judge Willie's second transformation, Angel's Descent, would be like this. The so-called wings of holy light must be the pair of wings on his back. After Angel of Judgment's transformation was completed, he put his palms together and slowly separated them. A sword with the shape of a cross slowly formed between his palms. Holy Magic Stone. Yang Na saw the stone on the hilt of Angel of Judgment's sword and cried out. No wonder he couldn't find the Holy Magic Stone anywhere. It turned out that Judge Willie's sword could only be summoned after his second transformation. Bear the wrath of God. The Angel of Judgment grasped the hilt of the sword with both hands and swung it in the air. 2 sword energies intersected like a cross, tearing through the air and slashing over. Wang Yu bent his body and twisted his hips, making a very strange posture. He flipped over and dodged the attack. The cross-shaped sword energy flew straight towards Yang Na, who was behind Wang Yu. Yang Na was still looking at the sword in Angel of Judgment's hand. She only reacted when the sword energy flew in front of her. Just as Yang Na was about to be chopped into 2, her vision suddenly darkened. A large foot had landed on the left side of Yang Na's face, sending her flying. The sword energy slashed the marble table behind Yang Na, and the sturdy table was neatly cut in half. F***CK. What are you thinking? After Wang Yu retracted his leg, he pointed at Yang Na and said angrily, "Do you know you wasted my teleportation?" F***CK. Yang Na covered her left cheek and gave Wang Yu the middle finger. Damn it, her father had never hit her since she was young. This grandson Wang Yu actually kicked her face and blamed her for wasting his skill. A woman's face was more important than her life. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Yu did this to save her, Yang Na would have already pounced on him and fought him. The Angel of Judgment waved his long sword again and again. The cross slash seemed to be free, cutting all the tables and chairs in the hall into pieces. Wang Yu was a martial artist, and Yang Na's footwork was incomparably profound. Even in the face of such a dense barrage of attacks, they were still able to move with great difficulty. However, as the sword chi increased, the two of them would not be able to hold on for long. "What should we do?" Yang Na asked Wang Yu as the two of them hid behind a stone pillar. The Angel of Judgment's sword energy was extremely sharp, and it was definitely not something that the two of them could block. Now, the two of them were in a completely passive state and could only take one step at a time. "Do you see that statue?" Wang Yu pointed at the God of Light and said, "That's the only thing in the hall that he doesn't dare to cut. Let's go behind the statue." "I don't think so." Yang Na measured the distance. The two of them were at least 400 yards away from the statue. An archer's evasion skill only had a range of 50 yards. A distance of 400 yards, with the speed of an ordinary player, would take at least 4 seconds to run. Even if Yang Na was an archer with high speed and strange body movements, in the face of such a dense barrage of attacks, it would be a dream to even think about crossing it. "You go for 50 yards first, leave the rest to me," Wang Yu said. "Can you do it? You won't sell me, right?" Yang Na asked doubtfully. Wang Yu was only a grandmaster of combat, and his speed was far inferior to an archer. Even if Wang Yu had the teleport skill, he could not teleport with others. Moreover, with this brat Wang Yu's past behavior, the probability of him using himself as a shield was relatively high. "Am I that kind of person?" Wang Yu said angrily. "Nonsense, you just abandoned me and ran." This woman still remembered the incident just now. "There was a reason for what happened just now, now you have to try even if you don't want to." Wang Yu pointed at the stone pillar. Yang Na looked up, only to see the sword chi colliding with the stone pillar, shattering it into pieces. It was in imminent danger. Since she was going to die either way, she might as well give it a try. Yang Na gritted her teeth and said, "I'll believe you for once. If I die, you must help me pick up the demonic holy stone." "Don't worry, you won't die. May the light god bless." Yang Na dodged and dashed out of the range of the stone pillar. The sword chi whistled through the air. Suddenly, Wang Yu jumped forward and activated Collapsing Fist. His other hand reached out to grab Yang Na's arm, and the two of them rushed behind the statue. The Grandmaster of Combat skills were more flexible. Under free mode, the skills could be released in any position. However, Wang Yu could be considered the first to use Collapsing Fist to teleport someone. Only a noob like him would dare to do so. Fortunately, Wang Yu's gamble paid off. The displacement of Collapsing Fist could actually teleport someone. However, the teleportation of Collapsing Fist was 500 yards. Now that it was carrying someone, its power dropped drastically. It didn't even reach 300 yards before it stopped. "It's over. Quickly teleport." Yang Na's heart was filled with despair. If Wang Yu also died, her mission would be a complete failure. "No hurry." Wang Yu chuckled. He hugged Yang Na with both hands and suddenly leaned forward. Wang Yu was tall, while Yang Na was petite. With Wang Yu's arms around her, Yang Na was completely protected. The sword chi fell densely on Wang Yu's body, and a golden chi guard was formed. The light god's statue was close at hand. Wang Yu carried Yang Na and fell behind the statue. The Qi guard's effect had not lost its effect yet. After landing, Wang Yu wiped his sweat and said, "It's time to lose weight. You are so King heavy. Fortunately, I have a backup plan. Otherwise, it would be over." A Grandmaster of Combat was not a profession that excelled in strength. Wang Yu also felt powerless when he carried a person and used his skills. "You are the one who is heavy. Your whole family is heavy." Yang Na flew into a rage out of humiliation. This grandson really didn't know how to speak. How could he say that a girl was fat and heavy? "I'm heavy, okay? Then you have to get up quickly. You are about to crush me to death." Wang Yu pushed Yang Na violently with both his arms. "Where the *CK are you touching?" Wang Yu. In midair, the Angel of Judgment who had lost his target also stopped his endless attacks. He stared at the light god statue. His eyes were sharp, but he didn't dare to make a move. "Ha! He doesn't dare to fight anymore. Shoot him," Wang Yu said as he took out his gun and aimed at the Angel of Judgment. The Angel of Judgment was slightly stunned, and his face showed an angry expression. Yang Na saw that the Angel of Judgment really didn't dare to attack, so she took out her crossbow and shot. After being shot by Wang Yu, the Angel of Judgment was already prepared. He waved his long sword and cut Yang Na's arrow into 2 pieces. Then, the Angel of Judgment wiped the blade with his other hand, and a golden light covered the blade. "Judgment!" The Angel of Judgment waved his sword again. The sword light passed through the god's statue and slashed. *CK. Wang Yu and Yang Na quickly dodged, and the sword light hit the ground and disappeared. Wang Yu immediately said, "The cross slash just now was a physical attack. This is a judgment magic attack." "And then?" "What and then?" Wang Yu asked in a daze. "What's the use of dividing the attack? How should I dodge? How would I know?" Ouch! Another sword light fell, and Wang Yu rolled on the ground and dodged again. While rolling, Wang Yu saw the action of the Angel of Judgment wiping his sword before launching the sword energy. Wang Yu smiled slightly. "I know how to fight. P.S. Asking for recommendation votes. It's the college entrance examination season again." Uncle Nyo suddenly wanted to say a few words. "I'm definitely not pretending. People have 3 opportunities to change their luck. Reincarnation, study, marriage. Study is the only opportunity that can be controlled by oneself. Don't listen to others advocating that studying is useless. Uncle Nyo can clearly tell everyone that studying doesn't necessarily make people successful, but studying can increase people's chances of success. Don't be superstitious about successful entrepreneurs without studying, unless you think of yourself as a protagonist like Wu Zhang. Chapter 125. Since the Angel of Judgment's judgment was a magic skill, there was an additional action of wiping the sword compared to cross-slash. Wang Yu and Yang Na were behind the statue and the Angel of Judgment did not dare to use cross-slash. As long as the Angel of Judgment's casting action could be interrupted, the Angel of Judgment would not be able to release the skill and the Angel of Judgment could only be beaten. The casting action was similar to a thief's stealth. It could only be interrupted by a forced displacement or the user's own casting action. Long-range attacks would probably not work. Wang Yu's musket hit the Angel of Judgment's face, but the Angel of Judgment did not even flinch. Interrupting the skill was definitely not reliable. The boss in freestyle mode was likely to return a sword aura during the shooting interval. It would not be worth it. "Do you want the Holy Mana Stone?" Wang Yu asked Yang Na. "Yes." Wang Yu said, "I will go out to restrain him. You can take the opportunity to shoot him." "Can you do it?" Yang Na glanced at the angel in midair and asked Wang Yu worriedly. She really could not imagine how a short-range pugilist like Wang Yu could restrain a flying angel. After the previous battle, Yang Na could already tell that if it wasn't for Wang Yu, she wouldn't have been able to kill the boss. She might not even have been able to escape. Therefore, when Wang Yu said that she wanted to restrain the boss, Yang Na was a little worried. I have my ways. With that, Wang Yu rushed out. When the Angel of Judgment saw Wang Yu coming out, it waved its sword and was about to use cross slash. However, Wang Yu slightly moved and stuck his back to the statue. The Angel of Judgment's movement stopped abruptly and it reached out to touch the sword, about to release judgment. This is the moment I was waiting for. Wang Yu pulled out his staff and jumped forward. When he was in midair, Wang Yu switched his weapon to a glove and pulled the Angel of Judgment into his arms, interrupting the Angel of Judgment's casting. Yang Na's arrows also whizzed towards the Angel of Judgment's head. Yang Na's equipment wasn't bad. Now that she was equipped with a dark gold crossbow, her attack power was greatly increased. After a round of skills, the Angel of Judgment lost a lot of HP. Wang Yu did not have a flight skill, so knee strike's grab only lasted for 15 seconds. After that, Wang Yu fell to the ground. The Angel of Judgment's body flashed. He gritted his teeth and swung his sword down, slashing at Wang Yu. Wang Yu sent out his chi wave and his body retreated slightly. He used the thunder steps to forcefully land on the ground and somersaulted back to the front of the statue. The Angel of Judgment's body rose by 2 meters and it casually swiped at the blade. Wang Yu sneered, 500 yards, this is the maximum range of the Light of Judgment. Thinking of this, Wang Yu rushed out again, still using his staff as support. His right hand slapped upwards and a white gas shot out, wrapping around the Angel of Judgment's ankle. The Angel of Judgment was pulled back by Wang Yu and his skill was interrupted again. Yang Na's arrow once again hit the Angel of Judgment's body. Wang Yu currently had 3 force displacement skills: Iron Mountain Crusher, Cloud Grasp, and Knee Strike. The 3 skills cooldowns were not long, so he could use them in turn. The Angel of Judgment was more sullen. He did not dare to use physical attacks, nor could he use magic attack. He was like a target, being ravaged by Wang Yu and Yang Na in various ways. The Angel of Judgment only had 90,000 HP. Under the cooperation of 2 experts, it was quickly beaten to a pulp. At this time, the Angel of Judgment's body once again rose by 2 meters. At the same time, his body shone brightly, and he raised his sword and chanted. Yang Na hurriedly said, "Come back, he's going to use his ultimate skill." Got it. Wang Yu nodded his head. He did not retreat but instead moved forward. He jumped behind the Angel of Judgment, then grabbed the Angel of Judgment's neck with his right elbow and pulled back. Before the Angel of Judgment could use his ultimate skill, his neck was broken by Wang Yu and turned into holy light. World announcement: You Huiqing players, Iron Ox and Qingshu have killed the Gold Elite SS Angel of Judgment in Sky Dragon City and achieved the first kill, advancing 1 step further on the road to becoming strong. System notification: You have killed the SS Angel of Judgment and obtained 0 experience. System notification: You have killed the Light Faction SS Angel of Judgment and obtained the title God Slayer. Holy Light City Honor 200, currently Hatred. Light Faction Favorability 200, currently Hatred. God Slayer 20 Spirit, 20 Intelligence has a restraining effect on light-type monsters. Yang Na received the same message, but her experience was not locked. The experience gained from killing the SS allowed her to level up. F*CK, why didn't you use this skill just now? Yang Na complained. Wang Yu curled his lips. He had so much HP just now, and he was even in combat mode. Wouldn't I be seeking death if I used this skill? Yang Na said angrily. Then do you know that the last hit can give you 50 experience? Stealing kills is too despicable. When the word experience was mentioned, Wang Yu's face darkened. He looked at his status window and did not dare to say anything. Yang Na was obviously a petty girl. If she knew that Wang Yu was harming others without benefiting himself, who knew what she would do? Because the Angel of Judgment was the quest boss that Wang Yu had triggered, the two of them spent a lot of effort but did not get any equipment. They only got 3 quest items. Holy Light Wings. Quest item Holy Mana Stone. Quest item Radiant Badge. Quest item Wang Yu knew what was going on with the Wings of Holy Light and the demonic stone, but this radiant emblem was baffling. But at this moment the two of them were not in the mood to think about it, because they received another system notification. System notification: you have received a mandatory quest. Escape from the Holy City, quest rank A. Before leaving the Holy City, you will be chased by Holy City players. If you fail, all quest items will be dropped. The moment they received the quest, a map appeared in front of Wang Yu and Eternal Silence. There were 2 red dots on the map, representing Wang Yu and Eternal Silence, and green dots representing the other players in Holy City. When Wang Yu killed the Angel of Judgment, the Royal Root, players were still resurrecting and ravaging the Paladin. When they heard the world announcement, they were immediately stunned. That bitch actually killed the Angel of Judgment? Eternal Silence was in disbelief. An angel was a level 200 ultimate existence. How could it be killed by a player at this stage? The next 2 system notifications disrupted Eternal Silence's thoughts. System notification: your guild has received a special quest, the truth will come to light, quest rank none. Thanks to God's grace, you have captured the true culprit who provoked God's might. Your sins have been cleared, and all main city honor points have been restored. Chapter 126. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. Eternal Dawn felt very complicated when he saw the system notification. Literature building. This was especially true for the first mission. Eternal Silence felt as if he had been raped by the system. The system notification said that only by catching the culprit could his guild's honor be restored. Didn't that mean that if he couldn't catch the culprit, he would have to take the blame? Damn, the system clearly knew that he was wronged, but it still wanted him to be the scapegoat. This was 2F** King despicable. The reward of the second mission was undoubtedly very tempting, but when he saw the players outside the revival point looking away from him and towards the direction of Holy Court, Eternal Dawn guessed that this was a mission for everyone. Wang Yu and Feng Ling were extremely cunning. Now that other players were involved, it would be much more difficult for Imperial City to catch the two of them. Eternal Dawn didn't need to mention the feeling in his heart. No matter how helpless he was, he had to bite the bullet. At this moment, Eternal Dawn received the notification that young Master Ling and young Master Feng were online, and he felt a little better. Where should we go? Wang Yu and Yang Na ran out of Holy Court and found that the streets were already filled with players. Yang Na looked at the green dots all over the map that were continuously surrounding them and tugged at Wang Yu's shirt. Martial artists weren't superhumans, and Yang Na was a girl. Seeing the dense crowd, she couldn't help but feel a little afraid, so she couldn't help but place her hopes on Wang Yu. Yang Na was rather impressed by Wang Yu's strength. Although Wang Yu had asked for her help to kill the angel boss, Yang Na knew that even without her, Wang Yu could still grind the boss to death. This kind of strength made Yang Na feel inferior. Literature building. Wang Yu looked around and said, "If it's me, I can still escape, but I can't bring you along. You won't leave me behind, right?" Yang Na said in shock. Wang Yu nodded and said, "Not at the moment. Give me the Holy Mana Stone." "Okay." Yang Na took out the demonic Holy Stone and handed it to Wang Yu. It was safer to leave the demonic Holy Stone with Wang Yu. After putting the demonic Holy Stone into his bag, Wang Yu pointed to the weakest point on the west side and said, "Kill our way out from there. Cover me." As he spoke, Wang Yu accelerated his collapsing fist and rushed towards the direction of the finger. Yang Na did not dare to delay and followed closely behind Wang Yu. When the players saw that Wang Yu dared to rush over, they were in an uproar. They had at least a few dozen people on their side, and Wang Yu still dared to rush forward. He was simply looking down on them. Attack! No one knew who shouted, but an endless barrage of ranged attacks rained down on Wang Yu. If these players were brothers of the same guild, they would advance and retreat in an orderly fashion, and Wang Yu would feel some pressure. However, the players of the Holy City's major guilds were still at the resurrection point, so most of these players were just a motley crew. Wang Yu grabbed and blocked with both hands. Before the arrows could reach Wang Yu caught them in his hands. Then, with a wave of Wang Yu's hand, the arrows flew out and scattered the ice cones and fireballs that were flying towards him. At the same time, Yang Na raised her bow and shot. While these players were still in shock, the magicians at the back had already been killed by Yang Na. Before the players could launch their second round of attacks, Wang Yu had already arrived in front of them. What kind of expert was Wang Yu? Even a tank like Hua Xiao could not withstand two of his attacks. How could these motley crew be worth mentioning? Throat choke, side kick, elbow strike, knee strike. Under the cover of Yang Na's bow and arrows, Wang Yu managed to open up a gap in the formation of players on the west side. F***CK. After creating an opening, Wang Yu did not have time to escape and was immediately dumbfounded. Players. The entire street was packed with players. Wang Yu had seen such a scene before. To move unhindered to cause trouble in Yuhuiqing, there were only about 10,000 players. At that time, it was already a sea of people. At this time, it was even more crowded than before. Apart from the players, there were no other creatures on the main road. People often talked about how great an army was, but that was just an adjective. Seeing tens of thousands of people in real life, even an expert like Wang Yu could not help but be moved. Charging at tens of thousands of people alone? Don't joke around. This book is very strict. Not to mention that these were all players with combat skills. Even tens of thousands of stray dogs could make Wang Yu's hands go limp. Moreover, these players walked in an orderly formation. The badges on their chests were also neat and uniform. One look and one could tell that they were guild players. Wang Yu was no longer a beginner in the game. Naturally, he knew that these guild players were not very skilled individually. Once they united, they were very powerful. The arrow formation, magic formation, and shield formation of the guild players were not something that Wang Yu dared to face head-on. What should we do? Yang Na was also frightened when she saw this scene. What kind of sin did they commit to be ganged up on by tens of thousands of people? Let's wait and see. Wang Yu was also helpless. The encirclement of the players was getting smaller and smaller. Step by step, Wang Yu and Yang Na were forced to the foot of the wall. However, none of the players made a move. It was not that they did not want to, but that they did not dare to. The reward of 200 honor points was undoubtedly very tempting. However, there were only two enemies. No one would willingly hand over the honor points that they had earned. At this time, Wang Yu and Yang Na were like a pile of gold. Everyone wanted them, but the bandits were not in the same group. No matter who made the first move against the two, they would probably be killed by the other players, accidentally. Therefore, Wang Yu and Yang Na were in a relatively safe situation. It was just that they were being watched by tens of thousands of people, which made them feel uncomfortable. The players glared at each other. None of them wanted to be the first to take the lead. Just as everyone was in a deadlock, a middle-aged player suddenly walked out of the group. He cupped his hands and said to the other players, "I am Yu wanting from Safflower's headquarters. We can't go on like this. Shouldn't we discuss who these two bandits belong to?" F***CK. Wang Yu glared at Yu Wanting angrily. Yu Wanting was treating him like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. He would be the first one to be slaughtered. At the same time, Wang Yu sent a signal to the people in Chuanjin. "What should we do if we are being chased? Everyone. Kill if there are few, run if there are many." Wuji was the first to reply. This had always been Chuanjin's way of doing things, and it was also something that Wang Yu liked to do. What if we are surrounded by tens of thousands of people? Wang Yu asked again. Everyone was shocked. Surrounded by tens of thousands of people. The biggest PK since the game's launch was caused by this kid. It had only been a day, and he was already surpassing himself? After a long while, Mingdu said, F***CK. Iron Ox, are you born in the year of *T? Wherever you go, people will step on you. All hail the Ox God. To be killed by tens of thousands of people, what kind of glory is that? If it were me, it would be enough for me to brag for a long time. Yin Lao exclaimed. He didn't expect this guy to have that kind of inclination. Mingjian Daoxue was the most honest. He advised Wang Yu, if you really can't do it, just die once. It's not shameful to die in the game. Wang Yu sighed and said, Sigh, I can't die. If I die, the quest item will drop. Wang Yu briefly explained the matter of him being chased. Wuji pondered for a while and said, Stall for time. Someone will come to save you soon. Who? Wang Yu asked in confusion. It would take half an hour to get from Yuhuiqing to Holy Light City. The people in Chuanjin weren't even enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. Even if they could help, these players probably wouldn't wait for half an hour. Wuji said, Don't worry, you'll know in a while. P.S. It will be released on the 10th. Has everyone prepared their recommendation tickets? Ready to cast. Speaking of which, is there a reward for releasing more than 10 chapters? What about 30 chapters? What about 50 chapters? Of course. I'm just kidding. In a few days, Teacher Nyo will be invigilating the exam. Teacher Nyo will be with the students. Chapter 127. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. Red Flower Guild was ranked 5th in the Chinese server and 17th in the Global Gaming Guild rankings. It was famous in the gaming circle. In this day and age where competitive gaming had become a profession, these high-end professional players were not only famous in the professional circle, but they were also as famous as A-list celebrities in society. The boss of Safflower's headquarters, Yuanting, was his real name. It was said that he had been using this ID ever since he started playing games. Because this ID had the same name as a minor character in a wuxia novel many years ago, Yuanting had set up Safflower's headquarters in an extremely flashy manner. Red Flower Guild's original nature was similar to Chuanjin, just a small group. However, after years of hard work by Yuanting, it rose to the top 5 of the Chinese server and became a dazzling gaming guild. It was a classic example of a grassroots counterattack. Safflower's headquarters had achieved such success not only because of Yuanting's excellent management skills, but also because of his incredible personal strength. Although he couldn't compare to existences like the War God and the Archmage God, he could still squeeze into the top 30 of the competitive professional player leaderboard. Of course, this was the glory of Red Flower Guild in the past. Ever since Rebirth, this brand new model and the influx of a large number of RMB players had caused the top guilds in the country to be reshuffled. Safflower's headquarters, which used to be majestic and awe-inspiring in the past, was actually suppressed by an unknown imperial city route in the Holy City. There was no other reason other than the fact that money was the most valuable thing in the world. Arguing with this kind of rich second generation who didn't lack money was simply asking for trouble, but the tiger was dead. No matter how weak Red Flower Guild was, other than the 4 bosses of royal roots in Holy City, Yuanting's words were still very powerful. For example, now that Yuanting stood up and said that he wanted to resolve this peacefully, no guild dared to object. Boss Yu, what do you think? Someone had already started to respond to Yuanting's suggestion. Yuanting smiled and replied, I'm willing to buy this mission. Buying missions was not uncommon in online games. For example, a two-way mission. The simplest way to resolve it was to offer a reasonable price for the other party to back out. Hehe, how much is Boss Yu willing to pay? How about 1 person and 1 gold coin? At this moment, a cold voice was heard into the ears of the tens of thousands of people present. Of course, it was not because that person's internal energy was strong, but because he had used the system item, the sound transmission megaphone. Each sound transmission speaker cost 10 silver coins. Ordinary players were reluctant to use it. 1 gold coin. Everyone fell silent. Now that the price of gold had dropped, the market price was still more than $900 apiece. If Safflower's headquarters was willing to pay 1 gold coin, no one would reject it. After all, there were only 2 enemies, and the probability of 1 in 10,000 was too high. They might as well take the ready-made one. 1 gold coin? What a big appetite! Yuwanting coldly replied with a megaphone. There were tens of thousands of people present. Exchanging tens of thousands of gold coins for 200 honor points? Yuwanting wasn't a moron. If you don't have money, then why are you still acting cool? The man used his megaphone again and directly led his men to stand opposite Yuwanting. Everyone became restless. In the entire Holy Light City, there were only 4 people who dared to speak to Yuwanting like this. At this moment, there were 2 people standing opposite Yuwanting. One was a sorcerer and the other was a warrior. They were the other 2 prodigals of the roots of the royal city, young Master Feng of the capital and young Master Ling of the capital. Young Master Feng and young Master Ling were having fun outside when they received a call saying that Yuwanting dared to bring people to attack their own guild. So, they left their girls outside and went home to play. Men were the most shameless. Their plans were ruined by Yuwanting, so of course they wouldn't be nice. Yuwanting's expression changed slightly when he saw the 2 of them. However, old Yu was the boss of the guild, so he naturally didn't want to lose face. So, young Master Feng and young Master Ling can afford it? Yuwanting was indeed a wily old fox. With one move, he threw the ball to the 2 prodigals. Young Master Feng and young Master Ling were both famous RMB players. They naturally didn't lack money, but spending tens of thousands of gold coins to buy a mission was not out of their minds. Hee. Young Master Feng glanced at Yuwanting and said, "We're not here for a mission. We're here for revenge." After saying that, young Master Feng pointed at Wang Yu arrogantly and said, "Hey, are you the one who snatched young Master Hua's scepter?" If it were any other time, young Master Feng would have been beaten to death by Wang Yu if he dared to speak to Wang Yu like this. However, Wuji told Wang Yu to wait patiently for reinforcements. Of course, Wang Yu wouldn't break this peaceful situation. "It's me," Wang Yu said calmly. At the same time, young Master Feng was also blacklisted by him. "See that?" Young Master Feng smiled and said to Yuwanting. He admitted it himself. "So we should kill these 2 people." Yuwanting's face darkened as he shouted, "Young Master Feng, you're wrong. If you want to take revenge, you can do it at any time. Why do you have to do it now? Does our roots of the royal city need time to take revenge?" Young Master Feng asked. "Humph. Then you have to ask the tens of thousands of players in Holy Light City," Yuwanting said coldly. "Don't think that your royal city route is the only one in Holy City." When Yuwanting said this, he purposely used a megaphone and pushed royal city route to the tens of thousands of players in front of them. Immediately after, Yuwanting said, "Do you want to steal the quest without doing anything today?" "Absolutely not." Yuwanting knew that Royal City Route didn't lack money. It would be best if he could force Royal City Route to retreat. Even if he couldn't, it would be great if he could make Royal City Route bleed. The players were already dissatisfied with Royal City Route's barbaric behavior. Now that Yuwanting added fuel to the fire, they were all filled with righteous indignation. "That's right, Guildmaster Yu is right. This quest is a city-wide quest. Whoever dares to steal it from us will have their turn until they reach level 10. Seeing such a big reaction from the players, young Master Feng and young Master Ling also panicked. Even a super fighter like Wang Yu didn't dare to fight to the death with tens of thousands of players. Of course, they didn't dare to get involved in a war between the people. Just as the two were panicking, Wang Yu, who had been treated as a commodity, spoke. "Hey, are you two stupid?" Young Master Feng and young Master Ling glared at Wang Yu and said, "Do you have the right to speak here?" Wang Yu didn't care about the pretentiousness of these two people who were about to die. Instead, he smiled at Yu Wanting and said, "You guys are so rich. Are you not willing to spend a few gold coins to buy his life?" The two looked at each other and said, "That makes sense." Hearing what Wang Yu said, Yu Wanting was instantly dumbfounded. He didn't think that Wang Yu, who was originally a fish on the chopping board, would actually bite back at him. Young Master Feng, young Master Ling, don't listen to his instigation. At this time, we should kill them first. Yu Wanting hurriedly waved his hands as he retreated. Just now, they were almost killed by Yu Wanting. At this time, the hatred these two profligates had for Yu Wanting was far greater than their hatred for Wang Yu. Young Master Feng's face immediately darkened and said, "It doesn't matter if you die." At the same time, young Master Ling sent out a megaphone. Reward announcement. Killing a Safflower Headquarters player will reward 5 gold coins. Killing Yu Wanting once will reward 10 gold coins. No limit on the number of times. It's a reward quest. 10 gold coins. All the players' eyes lit up when they heard this. P.S. Hello everyone, this is an automatic update. Teacher Nyo hasn't gotten off work yet. Chapter 128. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. Bounty quests were a type of quest in Rebirth. They were mostly issued by players, and the system was impartial. As long as the quest was completed, the gold coins would automatically land in the player's bag. From this, it could be seen that the 4 young masters of Holy Light were not brainless rich kids. There were only 500 players in Safflower's headquarters, and even if they were all killed, it would only cost them a few thousand gold coins. The people in Safflower's headquarters were not stupid. They knew that they were being chased, and once they were killed, they would naturally avoid the brunt of the attack. Just like that, with Wang Yu's guidance, young Master Feng and young Master Ling spent less than 1/10 of the price to send all their competitors away. But the other players did not think so. 10 gold coins. In this era where gold coins were scarce, players who had more than 1 gold coin on them were collectively known as high-end players. If they had not gambled with their lives not too long ago, the experts in Xuanzhen would only have a few gold coins on them. To these normal players, 10 gold coins was definitely a huge sum of money. Besides, there was no limit to the number of times this quest could be completed. In other words, as long as they killed a player from Safflower's headquarters once, they would receive gold coins. It was more than 100 times easier than the illusory 200 honor points. For a time, all the players on the street were in an uproar. Their gazes moved from Wang Yu to Yu Wanting and the players from Safflower's headquarters. Yu Wanting and his subordinates also tasted the feeling of being stared at by tens of thousands of people. Everyone, charge. Wang Yu charged forward and arrived in front of Yu Wanting. Before Yu Wanting knew what was going on, Wang Yu stretched out his hand, grabbed, and threw the terrified Yu Wanting into the crowd of players. The players swarmed over like a school of fish fighting for food. Yu Wanting was an expert and the leader of a guild, but now, he had died a tragic death. At the same time, Wang Yu sent Yang Na a private message. Run! Without another word, Yang Na mustered all her strength and ran through the gaps between the players to the alley next door, while the players chased after the people from Safflower's headquarters. Young Master Feng had been watching Wang Yu and young Master Ling's movements. When he saw that Yang Na was about to run, he turned pale with fright and hurriedly ordered his subordinates, "Capture her!" Royal City Route players, who had been quiet all this time, received the order and immediately chased after Yang Na. Wait! At this moment, Wang Yu extended his staff, blocking the path of the Royal City Route players. "Oh, what do you mean by that?" Seeing Wang Yu's actions, young Master Feng and young Master Ling couldn't help but laugh. A mere grandmaster of combat dared to stop so many of them with just a stick. Did he really think he was a monkey? Wang Yu smiled. Just come at me if you have any problems. Show off. Kill him. Young Master Feng snorted coldly and shot an icicle at Wang Yu's face. Young Master Ling also activated charge and took the lead to slash at Wang Yu with his sword. Since the boss had made a move, the lackeys naturally wouldn't stay idle. They launched all kinds of attacks at Wang Yu. Wang Yu swung his staff and knocked away the arrows flying towards him. He then leaped up and blocked the soldiers' charge. Literature building, the priority of charge was quite high. Even if he used the block skill and jumped up to offset the force, Wang Yu's HP still dropped by a large amount. But using the force of charge, Wang Yu flew backwards. His staff propped up on the ground and bounced Wang Yu back like a bow. Wang Yu found young Master Ling's position in midair and forcefully landed with a thunder stomp. At the same time, young Master Ling turned into a white light and pushed back the enemies around him. With a backhand chi wave, Wang Yu leaped up again. Young Master Feng was a mage. At this time, young Master Feng was chanting in the back. Suddenly, his vision went black and a dirty staff stabbed into young Master Feng's mouth. Young Master Feng was instantly killed. After killing these two people, before Wang Yu landed on the ground, he pushed down the staff in his hand and jumped onto the wall. Then, he stepped on the wall and rushed up a few meters before activating night jump and flying to the roof. The people at the royal city route were all dumbfounded. As the capital of the human race, the buildings in the holy city were much grander than those in other cities. The walls on both sides were more than 10 meters tall. Wang Yu's leap and leap actually made it onto the walls more than 10 meters. That was outside the archers' shooting range. The players could only watch as Wang Yu sat on the roof with his legs dangling. There was nothing they could do. Looking at the densely packed players below him, Wang Yu let out a long sigh and sent a message to Wuji. Damn it, why aren't the reinforcements here yet? Wuji replied, You're still in the mood to talk nonsense with me when the reinforcements aren't here. I'm wise and strong. I provoked the two guilds into fighting, and then I used my wits to escape, Wang Yu said proudly. Compared to Wang Yu, Wuji's skills were average, but he had a lot of dirty ideas. This time, Wang Yu relied on his own ideas to escape, so he felt quite accomplished. Wuji laughed coldly. So the guild that you used as a gun is the reinforcements. F***ck. Wang Yu suddenly came back to his senses. So he had been tricked by this B*******. Again. Wuji continued, Hurry up and run. Otherwise, when they react, you won't have a second chance. Wang Yu closed the chat window and sent a message to Yang Na. Did you escape? We're almost at the teleportation point. Yang Na said. Alright, wait for me. I'll be there soon. After sending the message, Wang Yu opened up the map. After confirming the location of Yang Na's red dot, he ran over. There were many streets in the holy city, and Yang Na had a map in her hand. She easily lost the people following her. When they were only a few dozen meters away from the teleportation point, a figure descended from the sky, giving Yang Na a fright. She raised her crossbow and was about to shoot. However, when she saw the person's face, Yang Na put down the crossbow in her hand. In this vast holy light city, the only person who could descend from the sky was hero Wang Yu. F***ck. How are you so fast? Yang Na exclaimed. I can fly. Wang Yu pointed to the roof. He walked in a straight line from above, so it was naturally much faster. Will you die if you don't pretend? Yang Na rolled her eyes at Wang Yu. Wang Yu ignored Yang Na's disdain and stretched out his hand. Don't care if I pretend or not. After the mission is completed, give me back my weapon. What if I don't? The holy magic stone is with me. Wang Yu said. You're shameless. Yang Na sighed from the bottom of her heart. You flatter me. Compared to some people, I still have a long way to go. Wang Yu smiled. Once upon a time, he was also a pure and innocent flower. I'll pay for it, okay? Yang Na was still reluctant to give the crossbow to Wang Yu. This crossbow had high attack and high attack speed, and it was currently the #1 divine weapon in the game. Yang Na was very comfortable with it. You can first. F***ck. Before Wang Yu could finish speaking, he suddenly heard the sound of wind behind him. He quickly dodged, and a spear came crashing down on Wang Yu's ear. For justice! The spear wielder roared, and the spear turned into a horizontal sweep. Wang Yu leaped forward and rolled, dodging the sweep of the spear. At the same time, he saw the person who attacked him. A body of bright silver armor, a resolute expression, and an indomitable aura. It was the guardian of the main city, Big Brother Guard. P.S. I'm updating automatically. Uncle Nyo hasn't gotten off work yet, so there might only be 2 updates today. However, he still had to be thick-skinned and ask for recommendation votes. Chapter 129. Genius 1 Second Remember, providing you with exciting novels to read. Guards. Wang Yu immediately revealed a look of fear. He had seen the ferocity of this brainless soldier, thinking back to when he was in Yuhuiqing. The soldiers all treated him like a boss. In Holy Light City, however, he was being attacked by a soldier. Wang Yu felt like he had lived 2 lives. A literature building, the soldier seemed to only have eyes for Wang Yu. He charged forward and slashed at Wang Yu's body. This was an existence that was even more unreasonable than the final boss. Only a monster like Wang Yu could handle it. If it was anyone else, they wouldn't even be able to last 1 round. Wang Yu jumped and teleported. It took him a lot of effort to crawl to the teleportation point. In the end, Wang Yu wanted to vomit blood. The teleportation NPC told Wang Yu humorously, "You don't have enough honor points. You can't use the teleportation circle. F***ck. Wang Yu cursed as he looked at the guards who were chasing after him. Then, he turned around and ran. The soldier was indeed a system follower. With a wave of his hand, a sword aura shot towards Wang Yu. Wang Yu rolled forward and rolled to Yang Na's side. "Why isn't he hitting you?" Wang Yu asked in confusion as he dodged the soldier's attack. Yang Na said, "Maybe I'm wearing a mask to hide my identity." Wang Yu was slightly surprised. "Are you registered here? Am I stupid?" "Of course not," Yang Na said. Wang Yu chuckled. "I have a good idea that can let both of us escape." "What idea?" Yang Na asked curiously. "Come closer," Wang Yu shouted at Yang Na after being forced back by the soldier's spear. Yang Na obediently walked over to them. Wang Yu smirked. He reached out and pulled off the mask on Yang Na's face. Then, he punched Yang Na Mask of Concealment, Special Accessory, Silver, Physical Defense, 12-24 Magic Defense, 12-24 Concealment, Hide Your Identity. Concealment. Non-player units will not be able to discover you when you are not in combat or actively communicating. TSK, it's actually a special accessory, Wang Yu exclaimed and hung the scarf on his face. Special accessories were items that did not belong to the equipment section. It was said that they were unique items, and their drop rates were the lowest in Rebirth. Wuji had a pair of glasses with a field of sight of 15, which was a special accessory. It was treated as a treasure by him, and he could not bear to wear it. He was afraid that the animals in Xuanzhen would borrow it to play with. A silver-ranked special accessory is definitely more expensive than a gold-ranked weapon. I can't tell that this chick Yang Na is quite rich. Wang Yu wasn't surprised that the guards didn't stop attacking him. After all, he hadn't left the battle yet. No matter how brainless the guards were, they wouldn't let him go. However, the reason why Wang Yu was wearing the face cloth was not because of this guy. Wang Yu rushed into the teleportation point after putting on the face cloth. After selecting the random teleportation point, he immediately chose to go offline. He had no choice but to log off. Wang Yu could vaguely hear the sound of knocking on the door. Who is it? Wait a minute. Wang Yu took off his gaming helmet and heard Mu Zixin, who was cooking, walk out of the kitchen. Wang Yu hurriedly ran out to stop her. Wife, don't open the door. Mu Zixin looked at Wang Yu in confusion. Sister Xian, open the door. Yang Na shouted from outside. Mu Zixin heard this and opened the door. She smiled and said, So it's little Na. I was wondering who it was. Have you eaten? Just nice, I just finished cooking. Wang Yu, Sister Xian. Yang Na greeted Mu Zixin after entering the house. Then, she stared fiercely at Wang Yu and said, I'm looking for Brother Yu, hi. Wang Yu, who was behind Mu Zixin, gave a hollow laugh and waved his hand lightly. Wang Yu was indeed not in the right to kill someone for no reason. However, the situation was urgent. If Mu Zixin was killed by Wang Yu, she would at most lose 10% of her experience. If Wang Yu's guards were killed and the quest item dropped, the quest would fail. I'll beat you to death, you shameless bastard. Yang Na bared her teeth and went past Mu Zixin. She aimed for Wang Yu's face and threw a punch. Wang Yu twisted his wrist and with a pull, Yang Na was flung onto the sofa behind Wang Yu. You still dare to fight back? Yang Na shouted and rushed forward again. She coiled her left hand and grabbed right hand. She used both hands to grab Wang Yu's left arm with one hand and hit Wang Yu's lower back with the other. This move was called double wing flight. It was the essence of the Yang family's martial arts. The technique was very ingenious, and it was also Yang Na's proudest martial art. If a normal person was hit by her, they would lose half their life even if they didn't die. It could be seen how angry this lady was with Wang Yu. In fact, this was also reasonable. Originally, Yang Na could have escaped safely. She was already very loyal by not leaving Wang Yu behind. Who knew that Wang Yu would be so shameless? For the sake of his own life, he would suddenly kill someone and steal their equipment. Yang Na was also a daughter of a wealthy family. When had she ever suffered such viciousness? Well, including last night, this was already the second time. Hey, this move is useless against me, do you know that? Wang Yu turned around and saw Yang Na's move. He could not help but sigh. Then, he formed his palm into a claw. The moment Yang Na attacked, he suddenly grabbed Yang Na's shoulder and lightly squeezed. Yang Na's body immediately went limp and she almost knelt on the ground. Mu Zixin stood dumbfounded at the door with a spatula in one hand. She seemed to be scared out of her wits. Stop fooling around. If you continue, I will retaliate, Wang Yu said with a straight face. He was just defending himself. You bastard! Yang Na knew that she was far from being Wang Yu's opponent. She cursed and sat on the ground. Her mouth twitched and tears began to well up in her eyes. What's going on? Mu Zixin saw Yang Na's wronged expression. She walked to Wang Yu's side with the spatula and pulled Wang Yu's ear to ask, Tell me, what did you do to little Na? Look at how childish you are. Hurry up and apologize. Mu Zixin was confused by the two of them. However, Mu Zixin's thinking was a little extreme. In her eyes, no matter who was right or wrong, a man hitting a woman was a bad thing. The mighty Wang Yu immediately wilted when he saw Mu Zixin. It's nothing. It's just a quest. How can you take things that happened in the game seriously? T. Yang Na pointed at Wang Yu and recounted what happened in the game. After listening to Yang Na's narration, Mu Zixin stared speechlessly at Wang Yu and said, You are actually so bad. Don't eat dinner tonight. Wang Yu was shocked. Don't. I was wrong, alright? Wang Yu's two hobbies in life were martial arts and eating. Not letting him eat was worse than killing him. Mu Zixin glared and said, Say that to little Na. Yang Na saw that Wang Yu was being controlled by his wife, and couldn't help but laugh in anger. Children of the pugilistic world had the temperament to take revenge on the spot. There were no overnight grudges. After fighting for a while, Yang Na's anger had mostly dissipated. Yang Na looked at the embarrassed Wang Yu and said, forget it, forget it. Fortunately, the quest was completed. Even if I died, I would only lose 10% of my experience. But that crossbow, I'll give it to you. Wang Yu said, but you have to give me the face scarf. Wang Yu still had 4 quests. That face scarf was definitely a very good item. Yang Na was in a difficult position. That face scarf was a meeting gift from the professional trainer. Forget it. Exchanging a silver face scarf for a dark gold crossbow is also a profit for me. I don't like to be sneaky. You can take it and play with it. Your face scarf was actually a gift from a trainer. Wang Yu was very envious. Compared to Yang Na's mentor, her mentor was simply a machine that cheated people out of money, of course. After this quest is completed, the trainer still wants to upgrade my equipment level. Yang Na's face was full of pride. Wang Yu was even more depressed. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.